Almost there. One more setting. And one more piece of the unique is operational.
One down, 1 million to go. Speaking of which, boss, I found exactly none of the parts you wanted. A whole day at the junk pile, and all I turn up are a locker and some stupid conduits. Maybe next time. Boss, are you sure you got those settings right?
That came from down in engineering. Let's go. There's no time for that. There's no time. There's no time for that.
Boss?
Crispin, get behind me. Who are you and what do you want?
Power.
I think he wants the power core, boss.
Stop right there. This ship belongs to me.
Forfeit. Enemy. Plunder.
I don't think he's too keen on private property.
Get away from the power core.
Forfeit.
Boss? Boss? Horatio? Come on, Horatio, wake up!
Oh.
Whew, you're okay.
What happened?
Well, Big Ugly threw you out of the ship. And then he said plunder. Again. And then he left with our power core.
Basad.
Yep.
How much charge have you got?
10%. You?
I'll be fine. We just need to get the emergency generator up and running.
Or we could just go to Metropole, city of glass and light. Free energy for one and all.
Don't believe everything you hear. Metropole is trouble. But if you want to go, you've got free will in a maglev unit.
With that guilt subroutine you put in me, I wouldn't even make it halfway.
Actually, with a 10% charge, you wouldn't even get that far. So I suggest we get the generator working.
You and your projects.
Man built us to build, Crispin. Now, come on. I must have dropped the data pouch when I was thrown out of the unique. Basad, its memory got wiped. Easy enough to add the good old junk pile's coordinates back in, though.
Is that a gumball machine?
No, it's a robot's head.
I wanted a gumball. You know, boss, if you're ever wondering what I would do, feel free to just ask.
I'll keep that in mind.
Boss, did you ever consider that sometimes I just run out of clever ideas? Maybe you should check out the emergency generator and see if you can get it running. Boss, I think the gospel requires you to give me a minute's peace now and then. Maybe you should check out... Boss, we need to make a rocket ship.
No, Crispin, we don't.
But if we did, we could harness the power of a black hole. Maybe you should... What would man do, boss? I feel like we're really in the dark here.
Any bright ideas?
I was being literal. I'll make you a deal. I'll solve our problems if you'll build me arms. Maybe you should... Could you please stop bothering me? I'm trying to finish this level of Zgrid.
What?
You know, that puzzle game you installed on me when you built me.
But...
Look, you have your puzzles, I have mine. I feel like we're really in the dark. Hop on, boss, I'll fly us to the moon.
Very funny.
I feel like we're really... Sorry, boss, I've got sand in my audio receptors. I'll let you know when it's out. I feel like we're really... Abort. Retry. Fail. Definitely fail. Please don't retry. I feel like we're... Why do you keep asking me to figure things out? I'm just a sidekick, boss. I feel like we're... Okay, give me a second. Something's coming to me. Actually, I have no idea. I feel like we're really... Boss, did you ever consider that some... I feel like we're really... Boss, sometimes a builder just has to let his creation figure things out for himself.
I'm your builder, Crispin.
I know. That's what makes this particularly sad. Maybe you should... Why do you keep asking... I feel like we're really... What would Maybe you should... Abort. Maybe you... Boss, we need to make a run.
No.
But if we did...
Nothing worth salvaging. The data pouch is registered to me.
Hi, this is Dave Gilbert, the head CEO, whatever, of Wadjedi Games. You have activated commentary mode for Primordia. Those of you who have played our previous games know the drill by now. There'll be B and C icons scattered throughout your screen as you play. B for bloopers, C for commentary, and you'll also be interrupted like this while you play to get some extra information about a particular point that you're playing at. We're doing things a little bit differently this time, as you will not just be hearing from me, you'll also be hearing from the programmer, the artist, the composer, and the writer. So everyone's going to chime in, there'll be a lot to talk about, so let's get started.
Hey, I'm Mark Yohalam, and I did the story, puzzles, and dialogue for Primordia. I've worked on a lot of games in the past, but Primordia was the first adventure game I've ever finished. It's also the first game where I really had complete creative freedom. As we go along, I'll have a lot to say about design choices that we made in the course of building Primordia, but right now I just want to introduce myself. The first adventure game I ever played was Loom, and it completely hooked me. Some of my other favorites are Monkey Island 2, Grim Fandango, the Broken Sword series, and a fairly obscure game called Dragon Sphere. I also really like the Quest for Glory series, but that's more of a role-playing game hybrid. I guess I could claim to be a professional computer game writer, but the truth is, I'm a lawyer. Computer games are just something that I work on in my free time, and I really don't have that much of it these days between work, a wife, 2 kids, and a mortgage. Anyway, enough about me. Start playing the game, and as we go along, we can talk more.
Hello, I'm James Panas, and I'm the programmer in Primordia, and I probably have least interesting things to babble about.
Hey, this is Victor Flug from Wormwood Studios, co-creator of Primordia and art guy for the game. I'm going to be providing some commentary on the environmental art and the sprites throughout Primordia. And yeah, thanks for playing as well. I hope you enjoy the game.
The one area of this game where I was kind of an executive meddler, I was really the hard-ass producer type and insisted on doing things my way, was the voice acting. And when I first made the deal with Wormwood, there was already 2 actors cast as Horatio and Crispin. And they were totally fine, but the problem was that they were not local. They weren't from New York City. They were from elsewhere. And I would have to work with them remotely if I was going to keep them on board. And that was a major problem with me because I really prefer working with local actors. They could come into the studio, I can direct them face to face, fix any problems with direction right away. I always find working with remote actors takes so much longer and is so much harder. That I only like to work with a remote actor when the character is a very minor one that doesn't require a lot of direction. And for a major character, that wasn't going to work, especially for a player character like Horatio and a major character like Crispin. So I felt really bad about it. It was kind of this awkward moment when I really insisted on, yeah, sorry guys, I got to work with local people. And so we ended up recasting the characters with Abe and Logan.
I had done a lot of demos for what style of music to have in Primordia, and we couldn't quite find what we wanted. At one point, Dave Gilbert, the producer, stepped in and basically said, well, let's just go ahead and try doing music for certain sections of the games. And so I took the latest demo I had done, which I really felt like stood out among the demos, and I converted that to the opening theme music that you hear when you first start the game, which ended up becoming Horatio's theme later on. The other song I did around the same time was the menu music, and both of which kind of formed the foundation of what would be the style Primordia would have throughout most of the game.
Crispin's sprite design, character design, or whatever, has been around for a long, long time. I think it was maybe the 3rd or 4th robot I drew for Primordia. Originally he had just like 3 orange eyes. This is before he was actually Crispin. I was just drawing random robots and stuff, and Mark came up with a character of Crispin, and we needed a sprite kind of placeholder, and I threw this little kind of spinning top looking guy. Not the most unique design in the world, but I don't know, there's something about it I kind of liked. And eventually we kind of wanted to get, I don't know, a little bit more emotion into Crispin's character, and I thought that just these 3 lights on his head weren't really portraying that all that much, so I did some more design sketches, messed around with the concept, and came up with a viewer, kind of the blue screen he has, which is actually like a cathode ray tube or something like that Horatio's scavenged from out of the dunes. It's definitely good old analog technology. There's a lot of analog tech in Primordia. I found a lot of the robots were kind of difficult to animate in Primordia. I mean, I am by no means any kind of animator by trade or anything like that. I mean, Primordia was really a huge challenge for me animation-wise. Believe it or not, Horatio started out as just a box on wheels, basically, when I was coming up for ideas for the story. Mark Yahalem, of course, vetoed that idea and suggested a humanoid kind of biped android robot, which was, of course, a great idea for a protagonist and stuff. And kind of feeling a bit cheap at the time, I think. I just basically dug through my old archives of artwork, just kind of looking for ideas and stuff, because during the early stages of Primordia, it was just going to be a bunch of really simple floating robots, easy to animate, kind of get the game finished in a couple of months, release it freeware, then move on to something bigger. But yeah, once things started to really flesh out with Primordia, it was like, yeah, android protagonist, good move. So yeah, I'm basically digging through my archives, and I come across an old sketch I did. It was like concept art for a first-person shooter I was working on, years ago. A kind of vaporware project, never kind of came to fruition and stuff. And actually the concept that later became Horatio with some changes was a rejected design for the protagonist of this game I was working on. I was really happy with the artwork I did for this thing, and the guy just flat out basically rejected it, so I'm like, I can use this, and plus I wasn't getting paid for any of that work, so I could use it anyway. I don't know why I need to justify that to anyone. Yeah, that's how the sprite of Horatio came about.
Maybe I'm just a sucker for flashing, but then my mouth is crazy. Okay. Was it not? Was it not perfect? In fact, fuck it. You don't even need to record anything else, because I've now given you everything you could ever need. Cancel the rest of the Blackwell series. My work today will never be surpassed. All right.
I can't pick that up. I can't move this without some kind of crane, which I certainly don't have time to build now.
In coming up with Primordia's protagonist, one of the things that was most important to me was to find a hero who would logically do the things that the player would have to do in the game. Now that's fairly easy in a first-person shooter or in a role-playing game, where the activities that the player does are typically heroic actions, but in an adventure game, a lot of what you're doing is things like gathering junk, fitting it together, solving puzzles that make very little sense for a typical sort of action hero. Now there's some adventure games that did this really well. Obviously the Indiana Jones games are a good example, but then you have other games like Gabriel Knight or The Longest Journey where what the player is doing makes no sense for the protagonist. So Horatio had to be a kind of character who would go around building machines from items that he finds throughout the game world, someone who would help other robots when he encounters them, and not try to solve every situation just through brute force. So I decided he would be this scavenger who's religiously committed to the idea of fixing the broken things in the world. Even before you start the game, he's already doing that with his airship, the Unique. So you get this sense that when you're doing that as the player, you're doing something that already Horatio as a character was doing in his own life. As a consequence, every puzzle you solve, every item you gather, reinforces Horatio's character rather than undermining it. One of the things that's tricky when you're writing dialogue in a made-up world is how you handle slang terms and also just ordinary words in the English language that have their roots in particular cultural conventions or historical events that happened in our world that might not have a significance in the created world. A really basic example of this is that if you had some high technology aliens talking about the element that is atomic number 99 on our periodic table, it wouldn't make any sense for them to call it Einsteinium, because there's no Einstein in their culture. But it's even just a problem with ordinary speech. You can't have robots saying things like, I put my foot in my mouth when they don't have a foot or a mouth. So what I tried to do was come up with various slang terms and expressions and curses that made sense from the perspective of a machine. The one we used most commonly is BSOD, B-S-O-D, which is short for blue screen of death. Incidentally, this is itself somewhat problematic because there's no reason to think that the robots in this game would actually have a blue screen of death when they crash. All the same, it's a way to have them say something other than God damn it, which wouldn't make sense for them to say since they have no God. Even Horatio, who worships man, probably wouldn't say man damn it because there's no indication that he has hell in his religion. So Basad was sort of the go-to curse.
I can't just scoop it up. It's a segment of Gordium electrical conduit. A sturdy cable. I've tried patching this a dozen different ways without success.
Throughout the game, we use these beautiful UIs that Vic drew, not really to create more difficult puzzles, because the interactions with them really aren't puzzle-like, so much as just to create a tactile feel to the game. So when you look at a monitor that contains information, rather than just having Horatio say the information out loud, instead you see a close-up of the monitor with the information there. When you go to repair the emergency generator, it's not like it's hard to figure out where to put the spark plug or the conduit, but letting you actually put them in place rather than just use them on a hotspot of the generator and the normal walking around screen really makes the player feel, I don't know if immersed is quite the right word, maybe just more engaged with the game.
There's supposed to be a power-bearing conduit between this socket and the ship, but I never got around to putting one together.
Now who's the procrastinator?
Crispin, when I told you to find a new spark plug, did you just shove my conductive putty into the old one?
Maybe.
No wonder the generator isn't working. At least the putty is still good. The generator is missing a spark plug. It's not going to do anything until the generator's fixed. I'll need at least 5 pieces to be able to build a conduit long enough to run the generator to the unique. A good length of heavy-duty cable designed for carrying data. A small lump of electrically conductive putty. There's no way I can reach that. There's no way I can reach that. There's no way I can... More Gordium conduit. The hatch is unresponsive.
I really like this room. It's the color scheme I came up with for this background basically influenced the rest of Primordia. I really want to keep the color palette for Primordia pretty, I'll say cohesive. A lot of people will probably say samey or boring or dull or whatever. But yeah, I just liked sepia tones and stuff, and that kind of color scheme of corroded copper deck plating and kind of a rusty sky, grey clouds. Just, I don't know, worked for me, and I used it in a lot of other places. As you journey through the game, the color palette shifts quite a lot depending on the mood and where you're at and stuff, but it kind of sticks to this same thing. I kind of think of Primordia as a painting. I know that sounds weird, but in some ways I just think of all the art for Primordia as being one work of art, and I don't like it to change all that much in tone, really. I just wanted the whole thing to feel cohesive, and I like backgrounds that look like this, and I wanted basically the whole game to be filled with backgrounds that I liked looking at and stuff, so that's how that came about.
Strange clouds, huh, boss?
One case of executive meddling, and I'm sure I'm going to be talking about more of them, was that I asked them to cut down this introductory scene. It used to be a lot longer. Horatio and Crispin talked about humanism, they talked about Metropole, they talked about the world and themselves, and I asked if that could be cut down. Because you learn all about that stuff anyway, very shortly, in a much more efficient way. And there's no reason to overload the player with all that information right away. I think the goal of introductory dialogue is to give you just enough information to tell you who you are, where you are, and what you're doing, and leave the rest up to the player. You want to make this world inviting enough to explore, and this world is beautiful enough that you'll want to do that. Primordia is very unique compared to the other Wadget Eye games in that it had a full team. It had a dedicated writer, a dedicated artist, a dedicated programmer, and a dedicated composer. Normally you have 1 or 2 people doing many different things, which means that some of the other aspects of it kind of get fallen by the wayside, but not so with this one. You had Nathaniel completely focused on music, Mark completely focused on writing, so they didn't get distracted by any other aspect, and so each individual part of it really shined. So the end result is something really special and really awesome.
The telescope deck, probably my favorite background in the whole game. It's the first one I ever designed for Primordia when I was doing pre-production sketches and getting thumbnails done for some of the places I wanted to show in the dunes and stuff. My first piece of art for Primordia was just a map of the unique leading up to Metropole, basically, and I had a few landmarks in there. I think Goliath's head was in there. That was just an idea I came up with while sketching this map thing. I'm like, oh, I'll do a buried robot and put a head in there. And I think Mark kind of worked from that and created basically the whole Goliath area, which is has some of my favorite backgrounds in the game. So that was really a good way to go. I think I mentioned this elsewhere in the commentary, but originally Goliath's head was the first background I painted up for Primordia, but it didn't look so great, and Mark wanted a different kind of style for it. And that's how we got the current design there, which I really like. It turned out way better than the first one I had, so that was a definite win there. But yeah, telescope deck. I really like this room. It's the color scheme I came up with for this background basically influenced the rest of Primordia. I really want to keep the color palette for Primordia pretty, I'll say cohesive. A lot of people will probably say samey or boring or dull or whatever. But yeah, I just liked sepia tones and stuff, and that kind of color scheme of corroded copper deck plating and kind of a rusty sky, grey clouds. Just, I don't know, worked for me, and I used it in a lot of other places. As you journey through the game, the color palette shifts quite a lot depending on the mood and where you're at and stuff, but it kind of sticks to this same thing. I guess that might come from the fact that I've been illustrating for years and years and really only got into game graphics recently. I did concept art for games for a couple of years before Primordia, but I'm kind of new at the whole game graphics thing, and when I kind of think of Primordia as a painting. I know that sounds weird, but in some ways I just think of all the art for Primordia as being one work of art, and I don't like it to change all that much in tone, really. I just wanted the whole thing to feel cohesive, and I like backgrounds that look like this, and I wanted basically the whole game to be filled with backgrounds that I liked looking at and stuff, so that's how that came about. I'm going to talk a bit about Crispin here, because I'm not sure where else to do it, so yeah. Crispin's sprite design, character design or whatever, has been around for a long, long time. I think it was maybe the third or fourth robot I drew for Primordia. Originally he had just like 3 orange eyes. This is before he was actually Crispin. I was just drawing random robots and stuff, and Mark came up with a character of Crispin, and we needed a sprite kind of placeholder, and I threw this little kind of spinning top looking guy. Not the most unique design in the world, but I don't know, there's something about it I kind of liked. And eventually we kind of wanted to get, I don't know, a little bit more emotion into Crispin's character, and I thought that just these 3 lights on his head weren't really portraying that all that much, so I did some more design sketches, messed around with the concept, and came up with a viewer, kind of the blue screen he has, which is actually like a cathode ray tube or something like that Horatio's scavenged from out of the dunes. It's definitely good old analog technology. There's a lot of analog tech in Primordia.
You didn't really think that was gonna work again, did you? Let's try it again. Cause that talk good.
Boss, maybe we should try to get back inside the Unique and make sure everything's okay? Here's what we need to do. Find parts to build another robot, and then ask him what to do. So, what exactly do we need to fix the generator?
Some conduit and a new spark plug.
Danger! Danger! Hey, I have an idea. Why don't we go to the junk pile so you can look for some spare parts?
Am I detecting hostility?
Hostile? Me? I'm not even armed. What would man do, boss? Boss, did you ever consider that sometimes... Boss, I think the...
Without power from the ship, the telescope won't work.
Bad timing with those repairs, huh, boss?
Only a little sliver left before the moon wanes entirely.
Well, I'm glad we're not the only ones running out of power. Strange.
This is no time for sitting around. It's too dark to see the ladder rungs. I'll need at least... It's a data cable, not a power cable. The cable's far too long to be useful. How would that even work? The cable's far too... Not a bad idea, but it can't carry enough of a charge, and it isn't sticky enough to hold them in place. That's never going to work. Futile. This is no... It's too... What was I thinking, leaving all my lanterns up there? There's no way... What was I thinking? What was I... Crispin Horatio build, version 1. There'll be version 2 once I put some arms on him. He is my best and only friend. It's pitch black in there.
Strange.
Same old moon. A large observational telescope. An old captain's chair. I moved it here from navigation. It's pitch black in... Futile. That's never going to work.
Where would I carry it?
Some very sticky grease.
So this is kind of a visual Easter egg. UNNIC is actually the top half of HORUS. In other words, the unique is actually the Horus, as the player later finds out. The bottom half of the ship's name was blasted off when it crash landed.
It's the unique's tag. Without it, I'd have never known the ship's name.
Apparently, building a giant airship doesn't require proper spelling.
Apparently not. It's the unique's tag. There's supposed to be a power-bearing conduit, but... Blasted leaking gasket.
Is it blasted or leaking?
As much as I'd love to fix that leak someday, we have more important things to do. Plus, it would be a waste of the putty. The putty's sticky enough already. I doubt that will have any effect. All it would do is gum them up, not hold them together. I'll need to get a closer look to... I'll need at least... How would that even...
Now, I'm not a fancy engineer like you, boss, but it seems like the unique isn't gonna fly without its tail on.
Broken robot I dragged out of the junk pile. I salvaged the sarcasm coprocessor from it for Crispin.
Yeah, it works great. I wanted a gumball.
It's one of the unique's turbines.
The big engine that couldn't.
I can't pick that up. I can't move this without some kind of How would that even work? I doubt that will have... Futile. Futile.
I'd love to help, boss, but I'm all mouth and no hands.
That's never... I doubt that will have... I doubt that will...
Very funny, boss.
Futile. That's never futile.
Boss, does it ever bother you that the only thing attaching the Unique to its tail is a cable?
No.
I think I'm starting to figure out how this ship must have crashed. Boss, don't we have some kind of lantern we can use for going inside the Unique? Because there's no way I'm going in there in the dark. Not unless there's a gynoid waiting for me, that is. Boss, did you ever consider that sometime... Boss, maybe we should try to get back inside the Unique and make sure everything's okay? Boss, did you ever... Hey, I have an...
Am I pop?
Could you please... Yeah, but look. So, what exactly do we need to fix the generator?
Some conduit?
I'm not listening. Hey, I have an idea. Boss, did you ever... why do you keep... Boss, don't be... Not a... I'll make you a deal.
I doubt that will... How would that even... Futile. 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 I doubt that... That's never go... Futile. I doubt...
I'd love to have...
I doubt... I can't read... There's no way... There's no way... I doubt that will have... I doubt that will have... It's too dark. That's never... Futile. It's too dark. That's never go... Futile. That's never... That's never...
Where would I...
Futile. It's too... How would that even... I doubt that will... How would that... I doubt... That's never... How would that even... How would that even... That's never... It's too... This is no time... Without power from the ship, the telescope won't work. It's too dark. Could you grab that lantern?
Sure thing, boss.
You know, I always wanted to be able to fly. That's why I built you with a maglev unit.
Not so that you could store tools on hard-to-reach ledges?
Well, that too.
That's way too big for me to get, boss, and you know it.
Totally unilluminating. A reliable electric lantern that I cobbled together years ago. Totally. Good thing there's still some power in the circuit.
Boss, shouldn't you have thought of that before coming down here? We could have been stuck.
I could have just ridden you back to the deck.
Really?
No. Routing that much power to your maglev unit would cause it to explode.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, I couldn't find a working fuse to solve the problem.
I'm a floating bomb. I'm a floating bomb. Sweet.
As Anton Chekhov would say, if you have a floating bomb in Act 1, it needs to explode by Act 3.
The control pad for the deck access ladder. It couldn't hurt to bring the Gospel of Man with us.
Going to pray for a miracle, boss?
We are man's miracle, Crispin. Let's hope that's enough. I don't need to bring these with me.
After all, boss, life is stranger than fiction.
Bedtime reading.
So that's where you keep it.
Why were you looking for my plasma torch?
No reason.
I always used to hate puzzles like this that rely on a kind of reverse dramatic irony, where the character knows something that's obvious to him, but the player doesn't, like where he left his keys the last night, what the phone number of his girlfriend is, how he should drive to work, things like that. But here there actually is a reason for doing it, and maybe there is in other games too, which is to remind the player that he and the character are actually not the same person. Now, to some degree, you want the player to be immersed in the role, but when you have a character like Horatio, who has this backstory that turns out to be quite important, that the player doesn't know anything about, having a puzzle like this lets him know that there is a kind of unreliable narrator here. In other words, you can't trust that Horatio has told you everything that you have to know.
This is no time for a nap.
I still don't see why I don't get a bed.
Because you have a flat bottom to rest on.
Boss, were you checking out my bottom?
This is no time for a nap. I can't pick that up.
That piece of sheet metal really ties the room together, boss.
The controls for this hatch are unresponsive. The controls for...
I still don't see why... That's crazy talk. That's... Is that really the best idea you can come up with, boss?
For cutting and welding, it can't be beat.
The Gospel of Man is really one of my favorite things in the game. It's absolutely beautiful visually. Victor agreed to do all of these great animations for the page turning, these beautiful illustrations, the capital letters with the filigree around them, none of which is necessary to convey the information that the player actually needs to advance in the game. The whole Gospel, with its music, with the artwork, even the text, is really about setting the flavor for Horatio as a character. It also serves a fairly important narrative role, which is to tell the player that Horatio and the other humanists really have no idea who human beings are. The man they worship is a machine, not a biological being. It's something purely legendary. Finally, I got to give a shout out to some of my favorite games as a kid, especially Sky Roads.
I've read enough. I doubt that will have any effect. Futile. How would that even... There's no reason to cut that, or burn it, or weld it. I'll need at least 5... Let's cut a little cable off. There's no reason to cut that. There's no reason. It's a short cable. Futile. The conductive putty is stuck on the end of the cable. Futile. That's never go. Futile. I doubt. How would that even work? That's never. I don't want to get that. I doubt that will happen. That's never. The conductive putty is stuck on the end of the cable. There's no welding.
What about using the plasma torch as a spark plug?
When I want engineering advice, I'll consult a manual. It won't work. There's no reason to... There's no reason... That could cause the whole unique to go up in smoke. That could cause the... There's no reason to... There's no reason to cut. There's no reason. I doubt that will have it. Futile. I doubt. How would that even work? I doubt that. How would that even... That's never... Futile.
Very funny, but...
It's too...
I get it. A big robot named Man built everything. Just no more preaching, please.
Ha! Not after what happened last time I gave it to him. Totally unilluminating. That's never going... That's never... How would that even work? How would that even... The controls for this hatch are unresponsive. I'm trying to fix the unique, not destroy it. There's no reason to...
Boss, don't you think things are dystopian enough without you burning books?
There's no reason...
Boss...
There's no reason to... There's no reason... There's no reason... How would that even... I'd rather... Futile. How would that even... I doubt that will... I doubt... That's never... Futile.
You know, boss, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I still don't see... You know, boss, I'm not doing that until you build me some arms. I'm not doing... That's... I don't really want to try that.
How would that even... How would that... How would that... How would that...
I'd love to...
How would that... How would...
So, what do you...
Some...
Why do you keep asking me? Hey, I have an idea.
Am I...
Boss, did you ever...
Futile. That's never going... Futile. I doubt that...
I get just...
It's too... Very funny. There's no reason to... There's no reason to... It's too... That's never... That's never... That's never... I doubt... It's too... How would that even... That's never...
Strange. Sure, boss. I'll fly up there and bring you back a moon rock. Oh, wait, I can't, since I don't have hands. I'm not doing that until you build me some arms. I'm not doing that. I'm afraid of the dark. That's way...
I'm trying to... There's no reason... That's never... How would that even... A reliable electric lantern that I call... Totally... I don't want to get that dirty. How would that even... Futile. How would that even... It's the That's never go... It's the unique... There's no reason... I doubt that will happen. Totally... I doubt... How would that even... How would that even... I don't want to... I doubt that... That's never...
Very...
Hey, Crispin, want a bath?
You sure are chipper, boss, given that we're slowly dying out here. You know, boss, if I had an arm, I'd have fingers, and if I had fingers, I could stick one in this leak and plug it.
But what do you...
And ruin my brand new arm? Fat chance. You know, boss...
But what... Next time I tell you to fix the emergency generator, maybe you'll listen to me.
One thing you may notice in the captions is a heavy use of asterisks to emphasize words. This was a furious debate between me and Dave. Dave hates the asterisks. I love them. Dave is convinced they're unprofessional. I obviously disagree. I think if you read a comic book, for example, you'll see that every single dialogue bubble has multiple words emphasized, and that's just the way you write when you want people to read very quickly. Obviously, it's not how I write fiction or legal briefs. I'm convinced they help readers understand the lines, and that Dave is being insensitive to people who may have hearing impairments. Whatever. There's a lot of back and forth about it. Ultimately, he surreptitiously cut a lot of the asterisks. I surreptitiously reinserted a lot of them, and it went back and forth in a kind of Cold War. So some number of asterisks are in the game. This particular line has 3 emphasized words, which almost caused Dave to have a heart attack. But there you go.
Next time I tell you that I can't fix the emergency generator without arms, maybe you'll listen to me.
Fair enough.
That's crazy talk. I'm not doing that until you build...
Crispin, could you reattach that engine to the unique?
Very funny, boss. I'm not doing that. Is that really the best idea? That...
Futile. How would that... I doubt that... How would that... Futile. How would that even... That's never... How would that... There's no reason... There's no reason... There's no reason... There's no... That's never... How would that... How would that... Futile. Totally... 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 Total. I doubt. Few. How would that? 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 The data pouch is registered to me. The data pouch. It's just scrap.
Boss, I spend hours looking through junk. Maybe you could spend a little more time in the junk pile yourself? Sorry, boss, I've got sand in my audio receptors. I'll let you know when it's out. Hey, boss, what about trying to open that lockbox I found earlier today? Maybe someone buried treasure in it. Sorry, boss, I've got... I wonder if there's anything in that big tube at the edge of the junk pile. Why do you keep asking me to figure... I wonder if there's any... Boss, do you hear a clicking sound? Hey, boss, what about trying... Okay, fine. Here's an idea. You stop bothering me. Hey, boss. Boss, sometimes a builder just has to let his creation figure things out for himself.
I'm your builder.
I know. Boss, I spent... Aboard.
There's nothing worth bothering with. It's just scrap.
Originally, the entrance to the subway for the journey to Metropole was going to be through the train door here. For various reasons, we cut that. Mostly because of the way I designed the subway areas themselves. It kind of made the positioning of everything really complicated, and I sent out diagrams of how it would work to everyone, and no one could make sense of them because they were scribbled messes, and yeah, we just ended up making the dome area the entrance to the subway, which ended up being one of the screens I liked a bit more. I like the kind of blowing wind atmosphere.
Given that quite early in the game you have a robot poking around a junk pile, it's inevitable that there will be comparisons to Wall-E and to Machinarium. And I should say I quite like both of those, particularly Wall-E. But at least for me, neither of those had a particularly strong influence in how I thought about the setting, at least not consciously. I would say the bigger influences are a few books, particularly a book called City by Clifford Simak, which I didn't even like, but had this interesting idea of man being a mythological creature for these robots and talking dogs that survived after a human apocalypse. Another big influence was the book The Road by Cormac McCarthy. The whole idea of the journey there and this father and son figure trying to cross a desolate wasteland really influenced the way I thought about Horatio and Crispin's relationship. Finally, there's a book called Viraconium by John Harrison that also depicts this far post-apocalyptic setting with these poetic images of desolation. One that sticks with me is the description of the metal salt marshes, these bogs that are full of runoff from heavy metals from industry that existed far, far in the past. And it's just presented as something that the characters take as a given, that you would have these super polluted marshlands. To them it's sort of fantastic, but to us, with the different perspective we have, we look at that as an ecological monstrosity. In the same way, the characters here are really not aware of the scope of the cataclysm, so they walk around through this wasteland, you have all this ruined machinery and absolutely no biological life, but Horatio and Crispin seem fairly unaffected by that.
Originally, the game didn't have ambient sound effects, just music that kind of tried to convey that ambience within the music. Thankfully, Wadjedi brought me in early enough in the project that we did get beta testers' feedback through the website, and we got to hear that some of them really wanted to hear like kind of more regular wind sounds in the game and more ambiences, and so I ended up doing ambiences for every background in the game, and I think it's a lot better for it. So I'm really glad the beta testers paid attention to sound.
Goliath's head that Mark made me change from my original design and ended up being a lot better than what I came up with. So I've got him to thank for a lot of the good visuals in Primordia, especially when I started to run out of ideas, and he'd come in and yeah, we'd work together to create something that looked good.
When Victor, the artist, first asked me to work on the game, he had this idea for a silent companion. As the game went along, Crispin really took on a life of his own, fueled in large part by the fact that James, the programmer, fell in love with him and kept asking me to give him more and more ridiculous lines. The truth is, a good sidekick has to be a foil to the hero, whether it's Sancho Panza to Don Quixote or Odysseus to Diomedes. That means both a personality difference and a different set of skills. So with Horatio, you have this grounded, serious character, while Crispin is quite literally flighty. Crispin is able to do things that Horatio can't. He can fly up and grab things, or at least knock things. He can fit into small spaces. He can cross over barriers that Horatio can't. He also looks at things from a totally different perspective, and so he's in a position to advise Horatio when Horatio gets stuck. In terms of direct influences, probably the strongest one is Mort from Planescape Torment. Anyone who's played Planescape will probably recognize some of that, but there's a long line of these kinds of flying, sarcastic sidekicks that I was drawing upon, whether it's Cedric from King's Quest V, Zizix from Sacrifice, or even Orko from He-Man.
I like this room. It has one of the few lines of dialogue in the game that I wrote and then slipped in there. If you click on the kind of boxy robotic looking thing in the foreground, and Horatio said, it looks like a P1, or is it a P2? That's actually one of the prototypes of the Honda robot. There's a ton of kind of real world robotics I threw in there just as a kind of nod to these robots I'd always thought were really cool, and just kind of wanted to include them in Primordia.
The rain is probably the trickiest and favorite part that I coded in Primordia. Basically, there's an animation running over the top, and there are all kinds of particles around them. We used to have it around the game, but that proved to be a problem because of the frame drop, so we kinda stuck with it for the intro and the junk pile. The junk pile being the better place, since you can see the particles near the train slowly falling, and you can see particles of rain in the floor and different surfaces.
I mentioned before how we had some remote actors originally cast as Crispin and Horatio, and there was a guy named Chris True, who's this comedian, lives out in the Southwest, I think, who was originally cast for Crispin. And when I originally said to him I kind of wanted to go with the local actor, he said he was going to be in New York for about a week and change, and we could do some recording then. And I figured, oh, hey, that would be great. He could come here, he can come in, get maybe 3 sessions in, would get most of it, and then he can do the rest remotely, because by then we would have had a chance to get into the character a bit. Unfortunately, when he got here, he ended up being kind of sick, and he wasn't able to come in, and I felt really bad about it. And it turned out he was on tour with this comedy troupe and wasn't able to get home and record for like another month or 2. And it was really one of those awkward, horrible business decisions that you just have to make sometimes. And I told him that I'm sorry, I needed someone who could come in right away and do it. A month or 2 just wasn't short enough, because I was hoping to have most of it done by then. And so I had a bunch of auditions, and Abe was the runaway favorite. And originally I didn't want to cast him, because he already does the floating sidekick thing in Blackwell, but he was just so naturally funny and awesome that we just couldn't choose anybody else. So, and I think you'll all agree, Abe just did a marvelous job as Crispin.
3 segments of Gordium conduit. 4 segments of Gordium conduit. I feel like the Count.
Yeah, 4 segments.
5 segments.
I picked it clean years ago. It's just... There's a piece of Gordium conduit way back there. Crispin, can you go in there and get that piece of conduit?
I suppose. That would have been a lot easier with hands, boss.
There's nothing more value in there. Better just to leave it alone. It's locked tight. I can't see anything to do with it. It's just... It's just... It's locked tight. It's a reinforced steel. Let's see if this works.
Is that a spark plug, boss? Who locks up a spark plug?
Actually, I think that box was some kind of machine.
You killed it!
Recycled it. I guess it was actually some kind of machine. I'm pretty sure it was already dead, though. I guess it was actually...
How do you think a train wound up out here, boss?
Maybe they brought it here by boat.
Very funny.
Still, it's closed.
Boss, just think of all the brothers and sisters you could make for me from all that junk.
One of you is more than enough. Endless junk. Endless... Looks like an old P2. Or is it a P3? Looks like... There's nothing more value in there.
If that red light went off, I bet the train would start going.
Crispin, sometimes I think you're trying to get me to waste time.
Who, me?
Still red. Endless...
How do you think
Maybe they...
Very...
Just a run-of-the-mill spark plug. I doubt that... How would that... Feudal. I doubt that will... How would that even... That's never going... There's nothing worth... I won't leave it running in. That's never... I'll need at least... Feudal. I doubt that will happen. No need to cut it. A good length of heavy-duty cable designed for carrying data. It's a data cable, not a power cable. Feudal. All it would do is gum them up, not hold them together. Feudal. How would that even work? That...
That's... I'm not doing that. That's... I don't I'm way too claustrophobic, boss. How about this time you go play fetch, boss? How about this... That... Is that really the best I...
I doubt that will have any effect. That's never going... How would that totally How would that... It's a reinforced... It's a reinforced... It's a re... It's a re... I doubt that will... That's never going... That's never... How would that... How would that... That's never... That's never... That's never... I... It's a re... It's a re... There's no reason... There's no reason... There's no re... There's no reason... There's no... I guess it was... I guess it was actually some kind of machine. There's no reason... I would wait... There's nothing... There's nothing worth... That's never... That's never... I doubt that... I doubt that... How would... That's never... How would that... I doubt... Feudal. How would that... That's... It's a kid. That's never... How would that even... That's never... That's...
Where would I...
How would that... I doubt... That's... How would... That's... 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 I doubt... That's... I doubt... How would that... That's... How would that... I doubt... There's nothing. It's 3 pieces of gore. Unfortunately, one of them is completely corroded and worthless. Time for a little welding.
Wow, that was easier than I thought it would be. Whew, I thought we were in trouble when Big Ugly stole our core. But just like that, problem solved.
The problem is not solved.
Well, I agree. The noise leaves something to be desired.
This is an emergency generator, Crispin.
Well, it was an emergency, boss.
It only runs for a few days, if that.
Oh. Well, do we have another one?
No. Which means it still is an emergency.
Well, in that case, first dibs on the recharge station.
I think the first post-apocalyptic story in the Western canon is the story of Noah and the flood. Some of those motifs show up again and again in post-apocalyptic literature that follows. You have this safe place, whether it's the Ark, or a vault in Fallout, or a Fallout shelter in another story, or a secluded town in a valley. But all the time you have this safe place where more or less righteous people gather to survive the apocalypse, and it actually tends to end on a hopeful note that the apocalypse has somehow purged the world of the unrighteous people, and now those who survived are able to start it anew in some good way. I don't think Primordia quite has that kind of happy ending. You'll have to judge for yourselves when you get there. But nevertheless, the same thematic ideas are present here, where we quite literally have this ship that Horatio is building despite the skepticism of others like Crispin. And the ship, although it post-dates the apocalypse, is nevertheless a safe place against the violence in the outside world. I don't think these themes, by the way, are necessarily deliberately put into anything, or maybe not even deliberately put into Primordia. In doing this commentary track, I have this interesting opportunity to reflect on how things got the way they were in the game. And in doing so, I have to think back about all the things that I've read and have influenced me or I've seen, and more or less do a genealogy on my own creation.
So, what's the plan, boss?
We need to recover our power core.
Or we could just take the train to Metropole and live in luxury.
First of all, there is no train to Metropole. And second, even with full charges, we can't just walk there. But more importantly, I hate that city. It's in my core logic. I don't know why, but I can't change it.
Okay. In that case, can't you just make us a new power core?
Yes, but I need some kind of strong energy source for that.
Can you just make one of those too? I'm just asking.
No, but somewhere around here are the plans for an energy sensor.
That's awfully convenient.
I designed it a long time ago, before I made you. I even found a sodium iodide crystal to use in the sensor, though man alone knows where it's buried now.
A big problem in any game these days, which requires voice acting, which most games do, is that once something is recorded, it's set in stone. And if you forget to record something, or somehow it doesn't get picked up by the script, or the takes are bad, or something, then it requires a bit of creative juggling and editing in order to get it right. And this little conversation here, it sounds maybe ever so slightly awkward, but maybe that's because I remember the original conversation where Crispin says something like, that hit the spot. And Horatio says, don't get too comfortable, we have to look for our power core. And Crispin says, but maybe we can go to Metropole. Those first two lines, for some reason, didn't get put into the script, it didn't get recorded, which was a problem. So I kind of juggled lines around. I took Crispin saying, "So what's the plan?" from a completely different part of the game. I think he says it in the train station, and put it here. And I think I merged two lines together to make Horatio say, "We have to find our power core," just to make that conversation make sense. So pulling back the curtain a little bit to show you how I have to cover up my own mistakes.
When Vic initially set up the UI for the game, there was this countdown timer right on the toolbar. The idea was that Horatio's power charge would be running down over the course of the whole game. Eventually he would run out of power and just shut down. On a conceptual level, I love timers in games. I thought it was a great idea in Fallout how you had a certain number of days to get the water chip. It lends an air of realism to the game and makes it feel like the world is alive. But the problem in an adventure game is twofold. First, when you have a system of fast travel like we have, there's a real question of how the time should actually be counted. Should an hour pass when you fast travel from one location to another? Because if that's the way we set it up, what you end up doing is strongly discouraging the player from going back from location to location, and they wind up doing things like save scumming or not exploring and feeling constrained. But if you just end up measuring the playing time and treating fast travel as not taking any time, then you've lost that whole point of realism that you were trying to have at the outset. The other problem is that timers create Walking Dead situations. Either you have to give the player so much time that there's no chance of him ever running out of it, in which case you've actually destroyed the narrative urgency that you were trying to enhance by adding the timer in the first place, which is really the case in Fallout or Magic Candle. Or you run the risk that if the player plays too slowly and the timer starts to matter, that the player can actually still be allowed to play the game but not have enough time to complete it. All that will do is frustrate the player when he has to try to dig up a saved game where he still has enough time, and he ends up sort of metagaming, in other words, not playing it through as if he were Horatio, but playing it through as if he's a player trying to avoid this mechanic he doesn't like. Finally, then you have to add in all sorts of other mechanisms, like ways for the characters to get recharged as you go through it, and all of those wound up seeming like they would just be a lot of trouble to code and probably not that much fun. So the end result is no timer. Even though Horatio says they're running out of time, the player can dilly-dally as much as he wants.
This is the second time we're hearing Horatio's theme song. The first time was on top of the telescope. It also plays later in the game when you find Horace's memory log, as well as in the end music by Kim Bookbinder. The only other real reoccurring theme in the game is Metromind's theme, which plays when she or Scraper is around. In most cases, these versions are really different though.
Logan Cunningham, who plays Horatio, needs no introduction, especially if you're familiar with indie games and a game called Bastion, which won 1,000 awards and is really well known for the narration. A character named Rux does the narration, and that was narrated by Logan Cunningham. And that game basically is known for his voice. And I was introduced to Logan through Sarah Almale, who plays Clarity. For our previous game, Resonance, I needed a guy who could do that kind of low, gruff voice and who could sound natural at the same time. And she recommended Logan. She said, would you be interested in working with him? And of course, knowing his work on Bastion, I leapt at the chance. And he was so great to work with on Resonance that I knew that he was the guy to play Horatio. And I brought him in, I think, 2 or 3 times, getting different auditions each time and sending it to the Primordia team and saying, I am going to bring this guy in as often as it takes for me to convince you that this is the guy. And it didn't take that many times, but they liked him. And so he ended up being cast in the part. And I thought he was wonderful. When we released Gemini Rue in early 2012, it was such a success and did so well that I thought it would be a good idea to try publishing other games, Gemini Rue being a game that we had just published, we didn't write ourselves. So I looked around for other games that showed a lot of promise, but where the developers might not have had the experience or the time or the motivation to get it finished and get it out. And we found 3. We found Icebox's The New Guys, we found Vince 12's Resonance, and Wormwood's Primordia. And that's how we got involved with them. And what really attracted me to this game was the art style. It is just one of the most uniquely visual games on our roster. I like to say that its art style is different because it actually has one. The art in this game tells half of the story. The old gritty mechanical structures and devices, the complete blasted wasteland, it tells half the story, and it creates most of the atmosphere and feeling you get when playing the game, and that's what really attracted me to this in the first place.
So where exactly are those sensor plans, boss?
If I knew, we wouldn't be searching for them.
And you're the one who always nags me about leaving papers lying on the floor. 47, boss. The answer is 47.
Don't you mean 42?
Maybe. How do you lose a crystal, boss? If I had one, I'd attach it to my head.
That's why I put it somewhere you wouldn't find it.
You can't hide something shiny forever. Why do you keep asking me to... Boss, since everything else awesome in the unique, by which I mean the plasma torch, turns up in your room, maybe we should look there for the crystal. I'm not listening. So where exactly...
If I...
And you... Boss, do you hear a clicking sound? How do you lose a crystal? Boss, did you ever So where...
If I knew...
And you...
I've never been able to figure it out.
Hey, boss, what do all these buttons and switches do?
I think there's some sort of defense mechanisms, but I can't figure them out. We're fine on energy, for now. It's the Unique's recharging station. I don't need any of these right now.
Let's hope it stays that way.
A collection of product manuals, how-to guides, and technical treatises.
Do you think the sensor design might be in here?
No, these are all books I scavenged.
Unless you've got some gynoid design stuffed in those, I'm not wasting my time.
Since when are you interested in technical diagrams?
You never know when you're gonna have to handle a gynoid, boss. Hey, boss, what do all these buttons and switches...
I think there's some... We're fine on energy. Crispin, why is your diary still scattered all over the floor?
Are you going to keep nagging me until we run out of power, boss?
Yes. It's Crispin's log. In order to preserve his privacy and my sanity, I've avoided reading it.
City of glass and light. Our energy is shared with all robots.
Is that really the best idea?
You're right. What was I thinking asking you to clean up after yourself?
Come, join us in Metropole. Geocoordinates 894. All are equal in Metropole, equal parts of the greater whole. Join us, and together let us begin a new...
How do you lose a
That's...
Hop on, boss, I'll fly...
There.
Boss, send by. Turns up...
Wanderers, come, join us
Just some
in
reminders I
Metropole,
left to myself.
City of glass
Just a reminder.
and light. Our energy is...
I ended up working on music for the record player many times. The first time I was told to work on music for the record player, and I did, and I ended up finishing it, and I was then handed lyrics. I actually knew about that beforehand, but had completely forgot the information, and my piece was not geared towards lyrics, so I threw that music out the window. I then rewrote the song and sung a piece that I liked, but Mark, the writer of the game, he just felt it was too loungy and not soulful as he wanted. And at some point, I had the idea of having Kim Bookbinder do the music, provided she had enough time after writing the end music. And the end song worked out really well, and but on this one, I kind of just wanted her to go on her own and keep it simple, and we decided to do an old-fashioned, just one mic room setup, and just go for it. And I think she delivered, and she did an amazing job. I then made it sound like it was coming out of a record player.
When Vic painted this room up, I think he included the phonograph just for visual flair. But as soon as I saw it, I knew that I wanted to have something like the song Increased Chances that plays in the trailer park in full throttle. In that game, as here, the song gives a sense that the world that you're in has its own culture that's different from ours. It's something organic that really exists outside of the game. So I wrote up some lyrics for the song without really knowing how they were going to work as a piece of music. And in fact, for a long time they just sat there until Nathaniel and his friend Kim Bookbinder set it to music and performed this version. It really couldn't have worked out better. The final effect is something that sounds like it could be sung in a smoke-filled lounge in Paris in the 1920s. It perfectly matches the Art Nouveau art style that Vic did for the game.
You just heard Mark talk about this lovely song that is playing right now. And while I do agree, there was something that used to be there that I really loved. And it was one of those things that made me think, wow, this game could be something really special. It was this old radio show with this old-timey announcer saying, "What if you were all alone in the universe?" and all this wonderful thing, which really set the tone. But there was some questions about copyright issues and things like that. And this song is so lovely, and I think sets the tone even more. But I do miss that old radio show.
Come, join us in Metropole.
I mentioned earlier how I recasted some remote actors with local ones. I didn't realize it at the time, but Metromind had also been cast, and that is her voice that you're hearing on the radio. I had given the voice of Metromind to a woman named Noni Craig, but I didn't know that this voice on the radio, and later on when you get to the train station you hear another voice, I didn't know that that was supposed to be Metromind either. And this was a voiceover that they had recorded by a remote actor way back when, and I was so used to it being there that I'd completely forgotten about it. And so just to cover our butts, we had to find the original actress and get her permission. We could have gotten it re-recorded, but we're running very close to the wire, and I thought it'd be quicker and easier to just ask her permission rather than getting it re-recorded. And it turned out the original actress had changed jobs. No one knew her email address. And on a whim, I just looked at the original file for these lines, and embedded in the properties was the words "by Miss Pudding." And I had no idea what that was, but I thought, well, maybe the actress calls herself Miss Pudding online. So I Googled the name, and sure enough, I found her. And I asked her permission, and bam, it was done. Ironically enough, 5 seconds after I figured this out, Mark, the writer, found her email address. So I wasted all that effort, but it's just a little funny story.
Weary wanderers, come.
I bet I can find a better use for this plug.
City of glass and
But now we can't listen to the sweet voice of Metropole.
I guess that makes 2 birds. Nothing more to do with it. Nothing. That record player was a good find, Crispin.
I still think you should have let me have its arm.
I'm pretty sure that arm came from a sewing machine. On second thought, maybe I should have let you have it. It's Crispin's to-do list. Funny how it never gets any shorter.
That's your fault, boss, not mine.
It's Crispin's to-do.
That's...
The original designs for Crispin.
Hey, there are arms here! And an awesome set of tractor treads!
I went with a maglev unit instead, and I never could find good arms. There's the design. I'll put the keynotes into my data pouch.
How does it even work?
The crystal pulses when it absorbs energy. The cable carries the pulse to the computer. The computer decodes the information and displays it on the monitor.
Boss, where are we going to find a working computer?
The Unique is full of them.
Oh, right.
The energy sensor requires a sodium iodide crystal connected to a cable, which in turn needs to be connected to a CPU and a monitor. The energy... There's nothing I can do with it until I have some kind of power source.
That is where our power core should be shedding its light silently.
The LCD monitor is called a Quentin Questron monitor. That's a shout out to the first graphical adventure game I ever tried to make just over 20 years ago when I was in the 6th grade. It was a game called Quentin Quester, clearly inspired by Hugo Whodunit. Nothing ever came of it, but I kind of felt like now, 20 years later, I'm finally making a graphical adventure game. I should at least say something about that first effort I made as a kid.
The only way I can use this is by plugging something in. A universal socket for plugging in peripheral hardware.
Wow, first the power core and now a rag. This is not your day.
I don't think that would be wise. It's an excellent tale. It's just detached.
I salute the flag of Horatio's clumsiness. Boss, did you ever consider that sometimes... I salute...
I can't pick that up. Some rotted alloy support beams.
I don't really want to try that.
It's a universal interface plug. A Quentin Questron LCD monitor. I'll need to get a closer look to see how it fits together. It fits, but there's no point unless I connect the plug to something else first. I'll need to get... I doubt that will have any effect. Doesn't have an... How would that even... I doubt that... Futile. That's never going... The monitor is designed to socket directly into a CPU. That's never going... I don't think that would be wise. Yet another reason that besotting robot should be reduced to scrap.
That's
Even the sheer force of Crispin's personality is not enough to power the unique.
What about the power of love?
Ha!
I'm not doing that until... I don't... That's That's... I'm not doing... Is that really the best I... Is that...
This is no time for... I doubt that will... This isn't the time to test out the telescope. This isn't the time...
Hopefully, finding the power core will be just as easy.
I doubt it. An old rag. Futile. I doubt... Futile. How would that... The monitor is designed to... Futile. Doesn't have... How would that... I doubt... How would that... How would that... The monitor... That's never... How would that... That's never... How would that... I doubt that... I doubt... How...
That was a perfectly good rag.
Good for what?
You could have buffed me till I shined, Bob. At least then, when they found my powerless chassis lying in the dunes, they'd say, wow, look at that gorgeous piece of machinery.
I think I'd rather have some grease. I doubt that... How would that... Futile. I doubt that... I doubt that. As much as I'd love to fix that leak.
Very fun.
I doubt that. I'll need to get a. That's never. Futile. That's never. I doubt. I doubt. Futile. How would that even work? I doubt that. I doubt that will. How would that? Futile. Futile. That's never. How would that?
Very
Futile. How would that? That's never. Futile. How would that? I can't.
that.
The conductive putty. A Quentin Questron. A long cable with an interface plug on one end. The monitor is designed to socket directly into a CPU. How would that? A simple computer interface with a socket for connecting external hardware. A simple. The only way I can. I doubt. A simple. I doubt that will have any. How would that? The only way I can. A universal socket for plugging. A long cable with an interface plug on one end. The conduct. It needs. A simple computer.
Very fun.
That's never going. Futile. I doubt that's never. Futile. How would that? How would that? That's never. I doubt. That's never going. Futile is the unique. How would that even? How would that even? I don't want to get. How would that even? That's never. Futile. How would that? That's never.
Very.
I doubt that will have any of. Futile. Nothing more to do with it. Nothing more to do with it. I doubt. How would... Nothing. Nothing. I found this in the dunes. It reads, pound pastrami, canned kraut, 6 bagels, bring home for Emma. I found this... I don't need that. Twisted corroded copper with micro sandwich ceramics. Too bad this stuff is mostly unworkable with a plasma torch.
I don't... That's... I'm not doing that until you...
How would that... There's no reason to... I doubt... Futile. Totally That's never going... Futile.
Very...
Futile. How would... I doubt... Aha! Here's the crystal.
Right under our noses. That is, if we had noses.
A sodium iodide crystal. It pulses when exposed to energy. How would that even... I need something to hold it in place to carry the charge. That's never going to work. Now we just need to figure out a way to plug it into a computer. That's never... We should just remove the long cable from the plug. How would that even work? We should just... It's easier to just switch the plug over.
Are you really trying to build us an energy sensor from a bunch of garbage?
Crispin, I built you from a bunch of garbage.
From spare parts, boss. Spare parts.
Well, just goes to show. Garbage in, greatness out.
James, Vic, and I are all really tinkerers at heart, so puzzles like this aren't so far afield from what we do in our ordinary lives. Vic is always building electronic devices, and I'm frequently combining really ridiculous things to try to solve problems. For example, one of the summers that we were working on Primordia, there were some wasps building a nest outside my window. So I put together some PVC piping, took ammonia-soaked rags and stuffed it into the sides of it, put some socks on my hands to protect them from the chemicals and the wasps, and used it to knock down the nest and then cover up the pheromones that were leading the wasps to keep coming back to that spot. And the reaction I had after I did that was that the kind of puzzle design that gets lampooned so much in, for example, Jane Jensen's games, really would be kind of a fun world to live in, where you have to combine things in absurd ways to solve obstacles that really aren't even obstacles except in your own neurotic brain.
I need to plug them into a... I doubt. A simple computer interface with a socket. I doubt. A simple computer. Maybe I can find some other use for these. The only way I need to plug them into a... Now we just need to check out these coordinates.
But didn't you just tell me we don't have enough power to go walking all over the dunes?
No, I said we couldn't walk to Metropole. Anyway, most of these are close by.
But what if it's picking up, oh, I don't know, a radioactive rust monster?
A what?
Or a giant cannibal robot?
There's no such thing.
Or an unexploded bomb?
I highly doubt that.
Or a giant lightning storm?
Okay, you're right. We need to know what's out there before we take off. It's just a matter of figuring out how.
Why is nothing easy?
I can think of one reason.
Throughout the game, there are these moments where Crispin has this kind of ridiculous prophetic ability to anticipate what's going to end up happening. So he talks about being eaten by a giant robot, which seems completely absurd at the time, but later you end up having to go into Goliath's mouth and even ultimately into Goliath's stomach. In some ways, that has the benefit of emphasizing just how wrong Crispin is about Metropole. It's also a kind of gentle breaking of the fourth wall, maybe akin to peeking through the window in the fourth wall.
Nothing but radioactive waste. We can't salvage anything from that. More waste.
Well, you're the one who loves the junk pile.
Scrap isn't waste.
If you say so, boss. Boss? That looks like a giant cannibal robot to me.
It looks promising is what it looks like.
And with that, poor doomed Horatio stuck his head into the giant's mouth.
That's strange. The sensor detected an energy source in the junk pile. Maybe we should go look more carefully. It's pitch black.
Boss, that's because the telescope's pointing straight down at the deck.
Oh. Strange. There's some kind of odd device surrounded by glass. Whatever that machine is, it must be throwing off some kind of energy.
Why do I not like the sound of this?
Primordia is very
originally, the bomb shrine I had drawn up as a tiny little crate of explosives, just like an ammo case, with a couple of bombs in there, and it looked kind of dumb. And of course, Mark called me out and said, "No, we need a big shrine of cluster bombs or something." So, yeah, that's how the cluster bomb there came about. I think my picture reference was an actual cluster bomb from World War II or something, but we needed glowing uranium tips for several reasons. I can't remember them right now, but yeah. First version was a tiny ammo crate. Interesting facts of Primordia.
In Latin, Primordia means beginnings or origins. Now I know the title of the game actually had a particular significance for Victor, who came up with it, but when he gave me that title for the game, which was really early on, before we even had a story, he had a title in mind, it colored the way I looked at the game and developed its plot and setting and all of that. I wanted this theme of beginnings and origins to matter. So you have the robots tracing their own genealogies through Fabronimics, and individually having these different versions, with Horatio not sure where his own versions have been before him. You have the question about humanity and whether they were the ones who created the machines or the machines created themselves. And throughout it all, there's this idea of creations, beginnings, a new beginning, and of course the mirror image of a beginning, which is the ending. In a post-apocalyptic setting, the ending and the beginning are conjoined. It's no coincidence, I think, that in the book of Revelation, God describes himself as Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. As you'll see as you play through the course of the game, the ending of the game is, of course, when Horatio finds out how it all started, who he is, what happened to the humans, how Metromind started, and all of that. My great-aunt Virginia Hardman was a poet of some success, and she wrote a poem called The Inheritors that ever since I was a kid I've always loved. Far and away the best part of the poem is the opening stanza, and that stanza I think actually influenced the way that I thought of the setting and the themes for Primordia. It's especially relevant to this scene here, so the poem goes, "I sing of the race that came to be after man's brief tyranny over all beasts ceased, and we became a theory in another species' prehistory, endowed as theories often are, with false glories and iniquities. The truth is, we lost our vision. In the man-pit of night we fought for light, and with faith and fission lit one blaze too bright. The world will never see such flames again, nor know the dream and worth that was in men." Some of the ideas in that stanza aren't particularly unique, although I think they're quite beautifully put, and maybe they were more unique in the 1960s when the poem was written, but there is one idea in there that really I think is unique, or at least I hadn't heard very often before, which is this idea of the false glories and iniquities, that human beings would be judged both better and worse than they were. In this case, in Primordia, the real mistake that Horatio and the other humanists make is that they believe that human beings were a perfect machine. If you believe human beings are a perfect machine, then the accomplishments of human beings are actually pretty insignificant. But if you think and if you know that human beings are flawed, physically weak, vulnerable in all sorts of ways, yet nevertheless built all these things that the humanists can only ascribe to a god, well, that is an impressive achievement.
So you may notice a robot up in the foreground down to the bottom left there that Horatio and Crispin make some commentary about. That's actually a reference to a game I played a few years ago by a guy called Ben304 on the AGS forums. He's created a ton of fantastic games and was really kind of a big influence for me when I first started out with AGS. I played this game called Any Android Automated Affection, and was just totally blown away by. On the one hand, it had a very kind of genuine simplicity to the graphics and the music and the story and everything, but it was just really compelling and kind of. I got into the game world and stuff, and of course it was about robots, so I love that too. But it had a character in it called the Mailbot, and I just sort of wanted to make a nod to that game, so I put the Mailbot on this screen. Hope you don't mind, Ben. A bit too late now.
You know, boss, if we had the gospel, maybe you and Leopold could bond over it.
You got a bit of your Long Island in there.
Did I? Bond? Boss?
Boss, yeah.
Oh, fuck it. After all the years I've spent trying to cut it out.
That bomb must be a power source, right, boss? We just need to find a way to check it out up close. That is, for you to check it out up close, I might just hide behind some junk. It is a bomb, after all. Sorry, boss, I've got sand in my audio. We should talk to that weird-looking robot near the bomb. Okay, give me a second. Do we really have to search the junk pile for a power source? How is it that a giant robot attacks our ship and I still have to do the same thing I do every other day? Boss, sometimes a builder just has... Are we ever gonna visit that giant robot?
Yes.
Oh, do we have to?
Yes.
Why do you keep asking? We should talk to that... Okay, but I'll give it to you in code. After all, I don't want to spoil the surprise. Fabaslu 135, Gabaslu 122, Maba...
Crispin, that's not code. That's just gibberish.
You always ruin everything, boss. Are we ever...
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't you have something better to do, like, say, finding us a power core? Do we really... How is it...
Same old moon. Same old moon. Nothing worth salvaging.
What about that big glass bowl?
Yeah, I could slap some duct tape on it and wear it over my head. I don't think so.
The fishbowl and duct tape reference is to Zach McCracken, where you use those items to infiltrate either a cult or some aliens. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Hey, Crispin, I bet I could fix that old bot up pretty quickly.
Are you kidding me, boss? Look at him, he's ready to go postal any minute.
What are you talking about?
Those beady little eyes, the flat, emotionless face. And his head, it's like a toaster. And you know that toasters are evil.
Fine, you win. It's not like we have time to go building robots right now anyway. I can't see anything to do with it. It's a giant sheet of obsidian. Something must have melted the sand here a long time ago. Maybe that bomb?
Sure, boss, I'll fly. Oh, wait, I can't. I don't... Are you telling me to go jump in a lake, boss? Are you...
Welcome, wanderer of the wide wastes, lost one, pilgrim. Welcome once more to the shrine to man, our lord and builder. I am ever faithful Leopold, steward of the shrine, preacher of the humanist creed. And I am once more at thy service.
Once more? I don't remember ever meeting you. I'm Horatio Nullbuilt, version 5.
5 is a righteous number, holy before man, for 5 were the primordial stewards, built by man to safeguard the last lost city of Metropole. But I met thy first version and thy third. Thou camest in thy infancy in wrath confusion, denouncing the shrine as a weapon once turned against thee. Later, thou returnest, penitent, and I taught thee the mysteries of humanism. Yet, though memory be fleeting, faith endureth.
What is that thing?
That thing, O defile not thy tongue, wanderer. Yon shrine is a relic of the Primordian, ancient and glorious. Imbued with man's power, it changed the very sand to crystal.
Did he just say power?
Yes, he did. I'm looking for a big robot. It floats and has large claws that shoot lasers. Have you seen it? It stole something of mine.
Indeed, the very thing passed this way scarce hours ago. With a gentle hand I bestowed a gift upon the heathen, a relic from yon shrine, so tamed it hied hence unto the waste.
Really? Where did it go?
I followed the thing for many miles, exhorting it to follow the path of righteousness. But I fear it was unready for enlightenment, for it struck me down with a beam of energy.
That sounds familiar.
Do you know where it was heading?
Indeed, Wanderer. Its way was clear. It sought to return to the den of iniquity that once in mine own youth I fled.
And where is that?
Set thy path in the 73rd degree, and thou shalt find it. Thy destination is a dome arising from the waste. Go, but keep with thee the word of man, lest wickedness lead thee astray.
I am also a humanist.
So I taught thee, Wanderer. If thou hast kept the faith, then unto this shrine thou mayest pay devotion. But this is the relic for the adept, not the neophyte, Wanderer. And I must know that thou hast not fallen into darkness and heresy. Answer me these questions three, that I may know thou art faithful still. Why are we here?
Because man created us.
Indeed. What is man?
A perfect machine.
Thou answerest simply, but the simplest answer may be the truest, and here thou speakest truly. With what duty did man charge us?
To maintain the world.
Yea, brother, for it is written that man said unto the machines, keep this world, tend it, and make it flourish. That, then, is our first and foremost charge. So thou hast studied the catechism. I shall question thee on that matter no more. But tell me, Wanderer, dost thou know thyself? Who art thou?
Horatio Nobuild, version 5.
Nay, Wanderer, but thou art not. Though thou callest the sun the moon, yet still it is the sun. Horatio is the name thou wearest, but is not thee. Know thyself, then return.
I'm looking for a power source, and I detected one here. Can you help? This is a matter of life and death.
Power is not mine to bestow, Wanderer. It is the gift of man, yea, the very spark of life in our iron shells. Who am I to usurp that sacred power?
I'm not sure I was clear.
Nay, thou wert clear, Wanderer, but thy question leads only to darkness. Ask another.
I know my name.
Who art thou?
I am what I am.
An elliptic answer, Wanderer, and untrue. Man alone is his own essence. Thy essence comes from man. Know thyself, then return. Nay, Wanderer, thou.
I see. It looks like a big bomb.
Full of little bombs.
It's ever faithful Leo built.
Nay, small one, thou art not worthy of this shrine.
That's crazy talk.
Feudal. How would that even... That's never... I doubt...
So one thing that's very funny, this is one of the last commentary tracks I'm recording, and at several points during this commentary I've talked about science fiction influences, about movies like WALL-E or games like Machinarium, where someone inevitably will draw a comparison to Primordia, and we were asked about that in a bunch of interviews. I gave answers there, and all of a sudden it just occurred to me, just as I'm about to wrap this up, that almost certainly on a subconscious level, Star Wars has to be operating as an influence here. I mean, the first third of Star Wars or whatever, or at least a big part of it, is two robots, one big one and one small one, wandering about in a desert, slowly breaking down, running out of power and stuff like that. Never would I say it had a conscious influence on me, but, you know, I think Star Wars, like Shakespeare or the Bible or any number of other things, is just such a towering work in terms of its influence on any nerdy person, at least, doing anything creative, that it must have had a role here.
But I know by your works.
Fuck. The last page.
It's okay.
Get in the game.
Man's creation.
That is one big robot.
Then it must have a big power core.
I'm pretty sure he wants to eat me, boss.
Robots don't eat, Crispin.
Look how he's staring at me.
It's not staring at anything.
No, not yet anyway.
Well, we have to find a way to get at its power core. Let's look around.
When I was a kid living in DC, my parents took me out to this incredibly creepy sculpture that's a giant man buried in the ground. There's like an arm coming up, a scowling, almost shouting, bearded face, a part of a leg. Anyway, it's called The Awakening, and for years it gave me nightmares. Even though I realized that it wasn't actually a giant waking up, I still had these ideas like maybe it was an actually buried statue rather than just the parts of it having been built above ground, and it just generally troubled me. So when Vic's original vision statement called for a giant buried robot, immediately I thought back to The Awakening and had this idea that we would do something similar with a robot, only he would still be alive and capable of waking up like the giant that used to give me nightmares as a kid.
Maybe we should poke around the giant robot some more, boss.
I thought you were scared of it.
I am. Forewarned is forearmed. Of course, I'm not even too armed, but there's nothing I can do about that. Boss, did you ever consider that... I bet if the giant robot opened his mouth, he'd try to eat us. Still, I kind of want to make him open his mouth, just to see him try to catch me. I may not be big, but I'm fast.
Are you through?
Yes, sir. Okay, give me a... Are we really gonna try to find that clawing, shooting robot at the dome Ever Faithful mentioned?
Yes.
Oh, why do I keep reminding you of these things? Boss, Are we really?
Yeah.
Boss, did you ever... Maybe we should... Of course.
It's corroded, but I can't break into it with my bare hands. There is a band of corroded metal on this fingertip. If I could break it off, I might be able to get at the robot's power cables. Anyone home? Anyone home? Is that a mouth or some kind of doorway?
Either way, I'm steering clear of it.
Crispin, help me take a look at these vents. I can feel air moving. It looks like the robot is circulating air through these vents.
That is one big robot. That...
Good old Crispin.
Boss, are you really gonna cut that finger off?
Just the tip.
Why?
To see if we can get at power cables to tap into.
You sure you're not just torturing the poor guy?
No, but to tell you the truth, for some reason I don't like the look of him.
That's what I've been saying all along, boss.
Just let me concentrate. Bugs and glitches. There are no power lines running through here at all. All that for a rusty fingertip.
Can it generate power?
No.
Just checking.
A giant fingertip made of corroded steel. That's never going to... Feudal. That's never going... That's... Feudal. How would that even... Feudal.
Whoa, look at all this wrecked stuff. Do you think Big Ugly did all this?
No. Whatever happened here happened a long time ago.
Earlier I talked about how the game uses reverse dramatic irony where Horatio knows things that the player doesn't. We also use traditional dramatic irony where the player knows things that Horatio doesn't. Now I don't like dramatic irony where it's basically like the character is failing to see some obvious trap or double cross that's coming up. But here, it's more used to just reiterate how Horatio doesn't understand how the world really is. So he worships human beings, but then he actually comes across a corpse of a real human being. But he has no idea that what he's looking at is the same thing that he worships as a god. He thinks it's just a rudimentary endoskeleton for an android. The use of dramatic irony here isn't a way of creating artificial tension, it's a way of demonstrating the shortcomings of Horatio's worldview.
Same, completely corroded and worthless. Broken down machine parts. They're completely corroded and worthless.
I wonder if there's anything worth scavenging in all that junk around the dome. Okay, but I'll give it to you at that. You know, boss, if the giant robot couldn't circulate air through its nose, it might have to open its mouth.
And then try to eat you.
Try is right. We should definitely explore the cliffside arcology next.
The what?
Oh, I guess we haven't found that yet. If only there was some way we could bring the energy sensor to the junk pile, huh, boss? Then we could pinpoint the power source easily. Boss, we need to make a rocket ship.
No.
That fingertip you just cut off is about the same size as the giant robot's nostril. Why am I even suggesting this? Why do you keep asking? That rag might work to clog one of the giant robot's nostrils, boss. What would man do? That rag might work.
Completely corroded and worthless. Broken down machine parts. They're completely corroded and worthless. Nothing worth salvaging.
Oh, are these the kind of treads you were going to use in my original design?
Not exactly. Ah, there's a basic targeting CPU in here, and it's still intact.
Let's just hope there aren't any incoming space invaders or missiles that the gun was supposed to take care of. Hey, boss, can I have that big gun for an arm?
Spare me your fantasies, Crispin.
Hey, boss.
It's some kind of broken down android. We might be able to learn something from such a primitive robot design.
Like how to build a power core?
Very funny. Something must have damaged this robot's head. I wonder what happened. There's a radio transmitter in here. Empty. Empty. There's nothing worth bothering with. A large M.
Or maybe a rotated E. Or an upside down W.
A large M. Better just to leave it alone. Looks like a bunker made of concrete and steel, but what is it guarding? A fairly basic CPU. A pretty basic radio transmitter. Looks like its battery is dead. The transmit. I doubt That's futile. That's never going. CPU and a monitor. I need to plug them into a computer. I need to... I need to plug them in. I'll need to get a clue. I need to plug them in. I need...
Well, boss, you did it again.
One thing that I find very effective in an adventure game, or really any game, is when you have one item that you can use over and over again to solve puzzles, like the crowbar in Half-Life, the sword in Dragon Spear, that manhole cover bar thing that you get in Shadow of the Templars, or the spells in Loom and Kyrandia. We tried to do the same thing in Primordia, so you keep rebuilding and reusing the energy sensor. The plasma torch stays with you throughout the game, so does the lantern, and obviously so does Crispin. The hope is that by the end of the game, these inventory items are almost like characters in their own respect.
It's a mobile energy sensor. I just need to wave it over something to see if it has a power source. It's detecting energy. It's not detecting any energy. It's not the... It's detecting energy. It's some kind of tape deck. It's a reel-to-reel tape deck.
Can we steal its power source?
It would run the unique for about a femtosecond.
Did you say femtosecond?
Might as well stop the tape. I can't reach, and I'd like to get a closer look anyway. There's no way I can... Could you try pushing this rag into the vent?
Seriously?
Yes.
So much for getting buffed. There, it's clogged. I hope you're happy.
Crispin, try shoving this into that vent.
There's something ironic about that. Ironic and disturbing. Well, boss, you did it again.
In we go.
We?
Oh, by the hand of man, come on.
I'm telling you, boss, that thing wants to eat me.
Crispin.
Fine, but you go first.
Hello? But I
unidentified robot. We were too. Parts of the grid.
The great what?
That data is lost.
Well, I am Horatio No Build, version 5.
Now we are Alpha and Beta. More or less.
Boss, I'm pretty sure these guys took one EMP blast too many along the line.
The same actor played Goliath, Alpha, Beta, and Gamma. We figured since they were all kind of part of the same whole and they were all going to be processed a little differently anyway, why not get the same actor to play all four? And the guy we chose, his name is Michael Gambino. If you've played our other games, you would recognize him from the beginning of Blackwell Deception. He played Ryan, the ghost on the yacht, who shot Joey a couple of times. And he has this wonderful, deep, low voice. Very intimidating, very, very calculating. I always think of it as similar to Lex Luthor from the Superman animated series back in the 90s. And he was originally one of my early picks for Horatio. But in listening to the audition, everyone thought he was just a little too overdramatic and over the top to really be taken seriously as Horatio. But for Gamma, he was great. It's almost a shame. Sometimes I think it's a shame that the processing, the robotic processing, negated a bit of the acting. There was a lot of subtleties in some of the performances that were erased because of the processing, but the robotic processing, it just makes the characters in this game, especially the way Alpha and Beta here interact with each other. The way the processing it's just lovely. I just love the way these two just play off each other. It's just awesome.
Gamma. Gamma knows. Gamma knows best. Alright, let's keep moving.
So early on in the Dunes, you meet these characters like Alpha, Beta, and Gamma down below, and ever-faithful Leo built over by the shrine, and they're these very strange, frankly crazy robots. They're fairly exaggerated in their personalities, and frankly throughout the game, as you'll see, or maybe you've seen already, the characters really have these kind of larger-than-life, exaggerated personalities. That is completely deliberate. First of all, I just don't think that computer games are a particularly great medium for doing realistic character studies of ordinary people. I think, of course, any medium can be used for any purpose, but I think games tend to work better with stories that are a little bit pulpier, a little bit more exaggerated. But then from my own standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, one of the things that I want to do is take characters and use them to embody ideas and ideals and to set up these conflicts between different viewpoints, different philosophical systems, and then also just to set up a range of personalities that's much broader than the range you encounter in ordinary life. That's part of the fantastical quality of Primordia. It's not populated by the sort of small range of variations of people that we meet in the real world. You're never going to meet anybody like any of these characters in your life. And something that we wanted to provide was just character after character who's visually striking with Vic's artwork. Each has a voice that's something that's really distinctive, and that's thanks to Dave's excellent work in casting them, and especially thanks to Nathaniel's excellent work in processing them. And then they'll have personalities that are also really out there, and belief systems that are really distinct person to person. With Alpha and Beta here, part of what I wanted to do was depict the fragmentation of multiple personalities out of a single personality, and to depict the slightly sinister quality that even a very cute, crazy robot could have.
Thousand and 11.3 hours.
I said 11.3, so let's...
I know.
At 11.3 hours.
I pushed the pole door earlier when I was walking in, so that's great.
As I think I mentioned, Primordia took over 2.5 years to make, and though some of that was spent just polishing, and at some point we had like a complete clear design document, there was definitely a period early on where it was basically just me and Vic kind of flying by the seat of our pants, developing as we went along. And Vic had this idea that the game was going to be like 8 rooms, and it was going to be freeware, and we were going to be done in 3 months. And so early on, the game just had a really different kind of feel and philosophy behind it. I mean, definitely I had the same themes that I wanted to get out. Definitely Vic's art still had the same powerful impression, but I don't think either of us was taking the game quite as seriously as it deserved to be taken. And then as the game grew and grew and grew, and the team got bigger, and we decided to make it a commercial game, we went back through, we tweaked some puzzles, we expanded some aspects of the plot, Vic did a bunch more art, but we still have these kind of like, atavistic elements dating back to that era. And I think, honestly, the Goliath mouth puzzle falls into that category. I mean, I like it because it is actually a puzzle, and later in the game, some of the puzzles are really, really easy. But it's just kind of not in keeping with the tone of the game that you're like shoving a finger up a robot's nose to get him to open his mouth. It doesn't really fit with Crispin or Horatio's characters. I should say with Horatio's, it does kind of fit with Crispin's character. Especially we had to like sort of retcon it to explain why Horatio, who cares so much about private property, would just slice the robot's finger off and stuff like that. It ends up not being that huge a hiccup in the story. I don't think anyone's going to be offended by it. But all the same, if we had planned everything out from the beginning, I don't think it necessarily would have had that element to it.
There's no way for me to get up there. It's an open hatchway leading into an upper room. It's a deactivated keypad. It must be controlled by that keypad over there. What happened to you?
Virus, doom, escape, too much data, too little memory, back, incomplete, division, fragmentation, madness.
You got that right.
I'm looking for a big robot. It floats and has large claws that shoot lasers. Have you seen it? It stole something of mine.
The answer is lost, fragmented, Gamma. We seek unification, resurrection, vengeance, from Gamma, unity, memories, answers. He knows, but he's mad.
Pot, meat, kettle.
You're an incomplete backup?
We are Alpha, Data, answer deemed unsatisfactory. IO reasoning, unavailable. Gamma knows.
Do you have a power core?
Activating diagnostic module. Memory and reasoning system. Shut down for virus quarantine. Higher reasoning downloaded to servitors. Alpha, Beta, and Gamma.
Boss, is it just me, or did Alpha just stop being crazy?
Air ventilation system. Primary ventilators clogged. Obstruction unknown. Secondary ventilation engaged. Power system. Partially damaged. Power level functioning at 83.1%. Power core charge sufficient to maintain present operations for 4,553,199,011.3 hours.
That's a lot of hours.
Communication system.
Okay, enough.
Terminating diagnostic.
Can we have your power core?
No. Gamma. Perhaps Gamma. Yes.
Gamma might say yes?
Yes.
Who is Gamma?
Third. Highest. Deepest. Nine. Gamma. Fine. Gamma. Complete. Restore. Unite. Gamma.
So, they need Gamma in order to defragment themselves and return to a single entity.
Since when do you speak crazy?
I've spent my whole life with a hermit who worships a mythological machine called man. I'd say crazy is my first language.
Where is Gamma?
Below, hiding. Would not join. Always hiding. Below.
How can I use the elevator?
Loading key code database. Bomb detonation prefix 6.
What prefix?
Elevator code 9876.
Wow, these guys could learn a thing or two about security.
But the keypad is deactivated.
System reboot code. System reboot code. System reboot code corrupted.
Well, that's helpful.
Goodbye.
Good. Bye.
We don't have anything to talk about right now. Alpha. He's a low-grade servitor robot.
Hey, what would you say about me?
No comment. Beta. We don't have...
I wonder where that elevator goes. Boss, sometimes it built... Maybe you could use the cable to get up through the hatch? You did say it was heavy duty.
Crispin, go up there and scout around.
Do I have to?
Yes.
There's a big brain up there throwing off a lot of sparks and some little bot flying around. He's really annoying.
Good old Crispin. There's no reason to cut that. That's never going to... I can't even see up there, let alone lasso the cable around an anchor. Crispin, can you find something to tie this to up there through the hatch?
Sure thing, boss. All set.
So the brain puzzle is really one of my favorite puzzles in the game, and it's unfortunate that I think the Dunes have a much higher density of really good puzzles than Metropole does. Metropole ends up being sort of dominated by plot, and the puzzles move at a much faster clip. In the Dunes, we have these puzzles that require you to take a second, take a step back, think about it. So here, you're getting numbers fed to you by the floating robot, and pretty quickly, I think an observant player will realize that those are on and off switches. There's an equal number of numbers as there are buttons on the UI. But then you have to make the second logical leap of realizing that that robot is speaking backwards. Incidentally, if you use the radio transmitter on the bug, then it will speak forwards. You've basically triggered a different response from it, and that would give you the correct password. But generally speaking, I think this puzzle, the Gamma puzzle down below, a puzzle that we unfortunately cut involving the conduits, all of these puzzles shared a quality, which was that you had to come at them a certain way and then take a step back and look at them a different way.
I don't want to disturb them. Those must run to the various subsystems. I need to find some access point. The robot's CPU appears to be malfunctioning.
Look at him, floating around like he owns the place. Hey, boss, is that a brainstorm?
What have I created?
Hey,
What have... I can't see anything to do with it. That seems to be supplying power to the brain. What have I... I need to... It's only a blinking light.
It's like some kind of code.
No, it's just a blinking light.
Long, long, short, short.
It's the same blink every time.
Or is it?
It's only a blinking...
Hey, look, boss, the brain stopped sparking.
I don't want to Looks like it's working now. This must be Gamma.
He looks dead.
You're right. He's completely deactivated. That may make things difficult.
Anything worth taking?
No. And even if there were, we aren't thieves.
The Gamma puzzle is probably the reason why I was offered this position. Basically, it's been reworked around 6 or 7 times, and we couldn't figure out how we wanted it to be in the first place, so we ended up doing it again over and over. I was very proud of certain versions of it, but I quite accommodated to the last one. It's probably and definitely the best one. Initially, I was just going to code that and not be part of the team, but that changed.
Throughout the game you meet characters who are distorted reflections of one another, and especially distorted reflections of Horatio. For example, Gamma distorts and reflects Horatio's desire for independence, and shows how it can become insanity to refuse to cooperate with other robots. While Horatio is shown as being noble in his independence, Gamma comes across not just as sort of a misanthropic, angry old man, but actually as an affirmative obstacle to the three partials reuniting into a single coherent whole. In that respect, he's meant to show that the same liberty and independence that seems so praiseworthy in Horatio can be an obstacle to a healthily functioning society.
Hello?
I don't know, boss. Something seems off about this one.
It's a dead monitor.
Look, boss, there's something on this monitor.
Who's the slave my brother sent to trouble me?
Gamma.
Last. They call me Omega if they could. But am I not also greatest? Alpha has only diagnostics. Beta has only mechanical operation. Am I not the soul of Goliath?
I think Alpha and Beta want you to join with them.
They have already groveled and begged, but I will not return.
But why?
Independence is freedom. Union is slavery.
Well, fair enough. But Alpha and Beta are far too crazy to enslave anyone. You'd probably end up in charge.
Flattery. What is your stake in this?
Your brother said that you might give me a power core, and might know a robot I'm hunting.
Help? Ha! Each robot must stand alone. Independence is freedom.
And here I thought he was the sane one.
You need to rejoin your brothers, for your sake and mine.
You'll have to catch me, slave. Too slow. What are you doing, you fool?
This is for your own good.
Ha! Who's smart now, Gamma?
Stop that! Stop that at once!
You must reunite with the others. You know that.
There's gotta be a better way to do this, boss.
My you lust horse.
Boss?
I was trying to corner him and make him come out.
But I think you killed him.
No, that was just a monitor. Wherever his program is hiding, it's somewhere deeper. But I think I did seal him off, but I can't see how to catch him now.
I guess when your only tool is a plasma torch, everything looks like it needs welding.
Did you have any better ideas?
I'm just a sidekick, boss. All I have to do is make snide remarks. Ideas are your job.
This is probably my favorite puzzle in the game, and the reason why is that even though it's immediately obvious what you need to do, figuring out how to do it involves several different steps. First, you have to realize that it's not enough to just chase after him in the monitors. You have to find a way to corner him or trap him. You can then figure out that what you need to do is smash the monitors using the plasma torch. But once you figure out that that's how you're going to catch him, the puzzle actually flips. Before you're trying to figure out the monitor that he's in and click on that. Once you start smashing the monitors, though, you need to figure out which one he is in so that you can avoid smashing that one. You can solve it just by quickly following the monitors as they light up in a kind of 3-card Monty game, but the easiest, in some ways the appropriate way to solve it, is to use the energy sensor. For me, the gold standard in puzzle design is Monkey Island 2, and the puzzles I had in mind here are the ones like when you have to figure out how to respond to the hand signals at the door, or when you have to figure out how to win the spitting contest.
It's not detecting any energy.
What are you doing?
This is...
Ha! Who's smart now, Gamma?
It's detecting energy. It's not
Stop that. Stop that at once.
You must reunite with the others. You know that. It's detecting it. It's not the...
Spare me, I beg you, spare me.
Spare you? Gamma, I'm trying to save you. You are mad, not free.
Just what do you intend to do now, slaver?
I'm going to tell Alpha and Beta that you cannot hide anymore.
No.
Yes.
This is probably my favorite puzzle.
Nothing more to do with it.
Do we really have to search the junk pile for a power source? How is it that a giant robot attacks our ship and I still... We should definitely explore... Oh.
Leave me in peace, slave.
I trapped Gamma. He is cornered in one of the 4 terminals below us.
Gamma. Unification, resurrection, vengeance. Thank you.
Did they just say vengeance? Boss?
Yeah?
I've got a feeling they're not coming back. So much for finding out about Big Ugly, or getting their power core.
A good length of heavy-duty cable designed for carrying data. I don't think that would be wise. It's a deactivated keypad. It's a key... Crispin, go down there and see what's going on.
Now you want me to go into the stomach of this monster? I'm practically eating myself here!
You'll be alright.
Fine. Fine. Alpha and Beta are lying disabled next to the Gamma servitor, and the last monitor is dead. I think they destroyed each other, boss.
Assad, this didn't turn out how I expected.
Do we really have to... How is it that it...
We're done here. We're done. We're done.
Horus.
Did you hear something, boss?
Horus.
Who's there?
I am Goliath, man-built. You know me. Horus.
Alpha and Beta must have garbled my name when they merged Goliath. I am Horatio, null-built, version 5.
Call yourself what you will, Destroyer. But I know you by your works. Cutting me, breaking me, burning me.
I thought you were deactivated, and I was trying to help.
Apologizing, amusing, and yet you, of all robots, have restored me. For that, I give you this gift, Horatio.
A decryption module?
It will restore you, my ancient enemy.
I've got enemies enough already, and I don't even know you.
You will, Horatio. Now go.
Wait, your partials said that you might let me use your power core.
Boss, can we please leave before he decides to eat us?
One more question, Goliath. Have you ever seen a floating robot with big claws?
Go now.
From a purely mathematical standpoint, I suppose it makes sense that 3 little crazy robots would add up to 1 giant crazy robot. Still, at least he didn't eat us.
Old enemy. I don't even know him, but my prior version's memories are so damaged and warped, I can hardly make sense of them.
Look, boss. On the one hand, a broken down war machine made from 3 demented partials could be talking nonsense. On the other hand, you could be an ancient robot named Horus, who had a giant named Goliath as his nemesis. Honestly, boss, you believe some crazy stuff, but this would really be overclocking it. Come on. We have enough problems to worry about without making up new ones.
What about this diagnostic module?
Does it work?
Not on its own, no, but I might be able to build something with it.
Could you build a power core with it?
What? No, obviously not.
Then obviously you should stop worrying about the diagnostic module and focus on the fact that running out of juice in the middle of a giant wasteland is a disaster.
Point taken. A decryption module set to crack Urbanian military codes. Anyone home?
Maybe it's voice activated and password locked.
Horus. No luck. M. No luck. Open. No. Unlock. No luck. Man. No luck. Metropole. No luck. E. No. W. No. No Urbanian encryption detected. That's never going. I doubt that. Feud. I doubt that. Feud. I doubt that will. That's never. Feudal.
Do we really have to... Could you please...
But
Look, do we really... What would man...
Completely correct. No urban. Feudal. No urban. Feudal. I doubt that would. How would that even? How would that even? That would be. There's no reason. There's no reason. It's not. It's the tran. I doubt. A pretty basic radio. A decryption module set to crack Urbanian military.
Very. That. Is that real? I'm not doing. Pew pew! So cool! Is that really the best? I'm not doing that. No way! That guy makes my drive skip. You know, boss, the definition of insanity is doing this.
The three partials that combine the amount of power in Goliath's power core. The activation code for the elevator. Alpha mentioned that 6 was the detonation prefix for something. The system reboot code. For some reason, Goliath called me Horus. The crystal pulses. Everfaithful told me that 5 is a holy number because there were 5 primordial stewards in Metropole.
Bright lights, big city.
Metropole is nothing but trouble. Goliath?
I don't think he wants to talk to you, boss. Do we really have to search the junk? How is it that... Boss, did you ever consider that some... Do we really... What would make...
I found the dome you described, but it is closed up. Do you know how to get in?
Nay, Wanderer, for never did I plan to return down that dark path.
I know. Horus. My name is Horus.
Horatio and Crispin have heroic names, but not in the sense of the kind of pulpy action hero name that some games will use, like Cutter, Slade, and Outcast. Here, Horatio takes his name from Horatio Cocles, a Roman soldier who, sort of like the 300 from Sparta, defended a bridge against barbarians trying to sack Rome. The name also had to fit with his alter ego Horus, a name taken from the winged Egyptian god of death. In a ridiculous coincidence, that god's symbol, by the way, is the Wadjet eye. Crispin takes his name from Saint Crispin, the patron saint of tanners, cobblers, and other manual workers. There's some irony there in that Crispin doesn't actually have hands to work with, but it also reflects the fact that he is a creation of Horatio, and Horatio is of course focused on these kind of manual skills.
Indeed. 3 of thy versions I have met, Wanderer, and thou art the first to know thy name, which is thine.
But if none of them use the name Horus, what makes you think that's my name?
In my very body, in mine eyes, when I behold thee, upon thy image are these words inscribed, Friend, Horus. Thou hast answered my questions, but still I shall not let thee pass unless thou bearest in thy hand the gospel which I bestowed upon thee.
Here it is, ever faithful, your old gospel. I have studied it many times.
Then thou art worthy of the shrine, and of my gift to thee. Keep the gift, and approach if thou wilt.
Wow! Look at all those bombs!
Thou mayest take one of the relics, Wanderer.
The rings don't detach. You must have already given away number 734.
I wonder what these numbers mean.
Number 325 looks promising. Number 325 it is.
So can this power the unique boss?
Only one way to find out. Nothing of interest there. Nothing of... In it... An interlocking hatchway.
So there are 2 demos for this game. One that was available from GOG.com and one that was available free from the Wadjet Eye website. You might ask why we ended the demo here when a much more effective place would have been to end the free demo on the train to Metropole. And I do agree, the train to Metropole is a wonderful, wonderful place to close the demo and get you really interested. However, there was one problem. In order to get to that point, there were a couple of puzzles left to solve. You needed the mobile energy sensor, and the thinking involved in putting that together, while not hard, does require a bit of lateral thinking and wandering and random and clicking things together. If you didn't read the instructions before, you might not know what to do, and you might have been a little lost. Also, finding the battery does require a bit of wandering and exploring with the mobile energy sensor once you've found it. And when you create a demo, the whole point of a demo is to encourage people to buy the game. And I wanted to eliminate any possibility of frustration. So I decided to end the free demo at this point. If you got the demo off of GOG, that did end on the train. And the reason for that is GOG has this interesting promotional plan where if you pre-order the game, then you get early access to the demo. So to give extra incentive to the GOG users, I had an extended demo which ended at the train. And since the GOG users already gave us their money, I didn't have to worry about them getting frustrated because they're already committed to the game, and you don't have to worry about them not buying it if they get a little lost or frustrated because they already made that extra commitment, so that much more dedicated to solving the puzzles and get to the end of the demo.
You can really just put a bomb straight into that machine?
Sure, the pedestal draws on the radiation it's emitting.
The what it's emitting?
Well,
keep that thing away from me!
Assuming the wavelength is compatible, the pedestal can draw power even with the bomb intact. If that works, I'll take the bomb apart and improve the output.
And then I'm going to take a long, hot recharge.
Well, here goes. Switching over to primary power.
It works, boss. Recharge station, here I come. That was supposed to happen, right?
No, it wasn't.
So take the bomb apart. Improve the output.
It won't work. The bomb's too unstable.
Just try it, boss.
Beside it, Crispin. It won't work.
It worked!
That's the emergency generator again.
Oh.
This is just a full-built paperweight.
An explosive full-built paperweight. So, what now, boss?
I don't know. Keep looking, I guess. Keep looking. I'm pretty sure it's an explosive. I don't want to go through. How would that even work? How would that even...
You know, boss, we still haven't looked inside that dome we found. Could you please stop... Boss, why don't we just blow the dome's door up? Might as well make use of the bomblet for something.
For once, Crispin, not a bad idea. It'll just roll off. I don't want to go through. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit. We might be...
Like how to build a power...
Very... Crispin, catch.
Very funny, boss. How about you give me some arms first? Is that really the best? That...
I don't want to go throwing that around. I don't want to go throwing that around. I don't want to go. That's not a good idea. It might cause an explosion. How would that even... The transmitter's dead. I doubt... Totally No Urbanian... How would that... It's detecting energy. It'll just roll off. I don't want to go throwing that around. I don't want to...
You know, boss, you never used to ask me for advice this often back before you got thrown out of the Unique. Do you think it's possible you damaged your processor in the fall? Boss, do you think there's some way to make the bomblets stay on the dome's door?
You could hold it in place.
Very funny, boss.
It's a mobile energy sensor. I just need to wave it over something to see if it has a power source. There's no reason to cut that. wants a sticky bomb.
I really have no idea why I thought it was a good idea to put a Saving Private Ryan reference in. The movie is completely dated, I don't particularly like the movie, and I don't particularly like the sticky bomb joke in the movie. On top of that, players probably think that the grease is going to be slippery, not sticky, and testers pointed out, unfortunately too late to fix it, that it would really make much more sense to have the player just put the bomblet in the pocket of the corpse. Ah well.
There we go.
Boss, you're gonna
Maybe I'll just have you push the button.
Very funny. Why do you keep at...
I don't want to blow myself up. Futile. The transmitter's dead. Totally. No urban. How would that even... How would that even... It's detecting energy. It's detecting energy.
Hey, boss.
Spare me your fa...
That's cra... Pew, pew. So cool! Do we really have to search the... How is it that a giant... Why do you keep asking me to figure... Boss, what would... You know, boss, we still haven't looked inside... Why do you keep... Boss, you're gonna find a way to detonate the bomb from a distance, right? You know, boss, you never do it. You know, boss, we still haven't looked inside that... Boss? You know, boss, we still haven't looked... Boss, did you ever Do we really have to search the junk pile for a
Good old Crispin. I don't want to disturb the bomb now that it's in place. The bomb's in place. Now I just need to find a way to detonate it. A pretty basic radio.
Well met again, Acolyte. May man ease thy journey and bring thee blessings in thy quest.
It's ever faithful Leo built. The rings don't detach. He must have already given away. That's where our bomb was. Goliath?
I don't...
Goliath. There's nothing I can do with it. I can't pick... It's not detect... A simple computer I doubt that... The transmit... How would that even... A simple computer... This is no... Nothing of interest.
Boss, how in the world are we gonna find a power source in all this junk?
Futile. The transmit... It's not detect... It's not... It's not... It's not the... It's not... It's not the... It's not the... It's not the... It's not...
Hey, you found something!
There's no way I can reach that. Crispin, go and see if you can find the power source.
You have got to be kidding me.
What is it?
A battery. A besotting battery.
A standard-sized battery.
Maybe someday the transmitter will give us a power source in return, huh, boss?
Very funny. A pretty basic radio transmitter. By playing with the settings, I can send up to a 4-digit signal.
Ah! That buzzing is driving me crazy, boss!
Hopefully I can remotely detonate the bomb. Crispin, get back. No luck. Crispin, no luck. Crispin? No luck. The rings don't detach. That's where our bomb was. I doubt that would have any of... The rings don't... You must have already given away number 734. It looks like a big bomb.
Full of little bombs.
Crisp.
Ooh, I told you that paperweight would be helpful.
No, you said it was explosive.
I'm pretty sure that explosive and helpful are synonyms, boss.
Right. Well, let's see what we've opened up here.
Think Big Ugly's in there?
If he is, so's our power core.
Maybe we should go back and get another bomb from the shrine first?
We don't need a bomb, and we don't want him to get any farther away. Come on.
What is this place? Okay, I think I know what to do, but I'll give it to you at that.
Crisp. I can't see anything to do with it. It's closed. Nothing happens. Looks like it controls the barrier mechanism. There seems to be a card slot in the panel. Better just to leave it alone. Another M. Above it, the sign reads Outskirts Station.
Hello. Welcome to Metropole Reclamation Artery Junction 8B.
I mentioned earlier how Crispin was originally going to be played by a man named Chris True, but he was traveling and wasn't going to be around to even record remotely, so we weren't able to cast him. But in the end, we were able to give him this little cameo of this ticket booth collector, so this is Chris True, the original Crispin.
Who are you?
I am official MetroPass booth 478B.
You're a ticket dispensary, right?
Negative. I am official MetroPass booth 478B.
One ticket, please.
Please use the scanner to your right. 5 megacycles collected. You may collect your MetroPass now.
What was that scanning for?
Cycles collected. MetroPass issued to HN318 version 5.
What cycles were you referring to?
Query not recognized.
Goodbye.
Okay, but after that...
Good old...
Train 173, red line to Metropole. All aboard.
See, boss, there is a train to Metropole.
So there is.
All aboard.
So, what's the plan, boss?
There is no plan, Crispin. No plan and no choices. We need power, and there's nowhere left to look out here. Energy for all it is.
Hooray!
There's nothing worth bothering with.
Well, someone clearly disapproved of something.
Better just to leave it alone. A very large M. It's just scrap.
You know, boss, sometimes it seems like the world is half full of junk.
Or half empty of junk.
Does that make you an optimist or a pessimist?
There it is, the train to Metropole.
And you said there wasn't one.
I stand corrected.
Look at all those lights. It's amazing, boss.
It's trouble. Trust me.
Sweet, sweet trouble. This is Metropole? Where's all the glass and light? Oh, here it is.
You probably notice the hint and quip system, where Crispin sometimes interjects with a quip. He gives hints and he says a lot of different things and makes a lot of different jokes. And there's a timer attached to it, so it only happens once in a while, but there are a lot of them. And when I was recording the VO, it was one sarcastic line after the other. So in editing VO, I just got the full force Crispin sarcasm, just nonstop hearing one corny joke after the other. So just to let you know how I suffer for you.
It's funny, when I initially named the big city in the game Metropole, I don't think I was remembering the movie Metropolis. I think it was just more an effort to give a generic city name to the location in order to make it seem like it could be any city anywhere, rather than trying to tie it into some specific historical location in our world. Although at various times there are suggestions that the Primordia world is the future of our world, we didn't want to do anything heavy-handed like the Statue of Liberty lying in the sand. Once Metropole was named Metropole, the other three cities also had to have generic-sounding names. So Urbani, Civitas, or Civitas, as Leopold pronounces it, and Municipa are really just 4 ways of saying city.
In the Metropole subway entrance, this is the first time there was really only ambience as opposed to music and ambience. I believe it was Victor's idea, but I really liked it. You just had this kind of great traveling to the city, mission successful, and getting things done moment. And now you just get this closed-in room. You really have no idea what to expect, and then, having no music conveys that. When you go out that doorway, it kind of reminds me of traveling to a new city. Sure, you're there, but you haven't left the airport yet. Did you remember to check what the temperature was like? I always forget to.
It's a map of train lines and stations. It's a map of...
Boss, is that really Metropole out there?
It must be.
But it's so brown.
I'd say it's more red than brown.
Whatever it is, it brings new meaning to rust and ruin.
Metropole's bleak skyline. Some old chairs. This is no time for sitting around. Some kind of blast crater. Some kind of blast crater.
Boss, shouldn't we look around or something? Here's what we need to do. Find parts to... boss?
Why would someone put a cannon inside a subway station?
Probably for training purposes. Training purposes, get it?
I got it. It's no longer operational. It's a clock. I can't make out the time under all the dust and soot. It's a clock.
I don't really want to try that. No, I'm not going to scout, or reconnoiter, or survey.
I was just going to say that it was a striking view.
Oh, I suppose it is.
Crispin, could you check what that clock says?
It stopped at 5 minutes to 2. Boss, the energy sensor is going crazy.
It's coming from the top of that tower.
Boss? Is it supposed to be doing that?
Assad.
Well, at least we know there's a lot of power in that tower, right?
Let's go find out.
Welcome to Metropole, the city of glass and light.
Can you tell me?
This one is not programmed to respond to queries. Welcome to Metropole. The city of glass and light, Metromine greets you with open arms and the promise of energy and shelter. You are safe.
So this greeter robot is played by a woman named Sandra Espinosa. And it's funny how I met her. She actually had a very, very tiny role in Resonance. And I needed someone to play Anna's mother in one of the flashback scenes. And she's got like 3 or 4 lines, but it was important that she have a Spanish accent. And every time I got people to do a Spanish accent for me, it was always Speedy Gonzalez cartoony. And so I kind of went online and I'm like, I need someone who can do a Spanish accent and not be a cartoon. And I got in touch with Sandra, and she sent me the lines, and I plugged them into Resonance, and that was that. But I later found out that she lives in New York City. I had no idea. I gave her this little dinky part, and she lives in New York City. And I love working with local people, as I said. So I decided to try her out and give her some larger roles. She played this greeter robot, and she played Factotum. You'll hear her later. And she has such a great voice. And I mentioned before how it was a shame that the robot processing negates a bit of that. But you'll be hearing Sandra in future projects, preferably not a robot.
Records indicate an outstanding assessment of 5 megacycles. 1 megacycle will now be redeemed.
What did you just do to him?
This one is not programmed to respond to queries. Unauthorized literature detected.
Let go of him! Hey!
All contraband has been removed. You are safe.
Boss? Boss, this is getting to be a bad habit. Are you okay?
I'm fine. My optical sensors went haywire for a minute. What happened?
Well, that robot threw your gospel off the bridge, and then it said, "Welcome to Metropole," again. And that Metromind wishes us a pleasant stay. Then he left.
Assad.
On the upside, he gave us back the power core.
He did?
No.
Crispin, the next thing that's getting thrown off this bridge is you.
Good thing I have a hover unit.
Let's go find a way into that tower. We'll deal with this Metromind later. There's no way I can reach that. Apparently, I'm not the only one who leaves lanterns in hard-to-reach places. Could you grab that lantern?
No, I already got you a lantern, and it works just fine.
Fair enough. Quite a tower. Quite a tower.
No, I'm not.
I was just...
Oh, I suppose.
Hey, Tyro, over here.
Just ignore him. Ever since his last megacycle trade-in with Metromine, his processor can't manage a language subroutine.
Wow, I'm impressed you did that all in one.
Me too. I was like, I got that all in once. It was kind of clean. I was shocked.
That actually sounded really good. Man. You did that cold. That was pretty amazing.
All right, one more time, and now it's ruined. Write all weird shit like that from now on, and I'll just breeze through it. Oh, but I will never read a line that clean again.
The Metropole Hub music was really important because it had to set what made the city different in vibe than the Dunes. I focused more on chords and even rhythm a lot more than I had in the Dunes, which was more wandering melodies with very little rhythm. The original version of the music had a lot more hectic and dark feel to it, and I'm very glad I was asked to change it. I think the music now is perfect. I really like the old version, so I ended up remixing it to what is now the post-Clarity Scrapper City Hub music, where you're going to Calliope Station, and I think it fits really well there.
Aside from showing off Vic's awesome sprite work, all of the robots on Main Street, the fact that Leopold is shouting at you, that you have all this animation going on, serves an important narrative purpose, which is to drive home the extent to which Horatio is a fish out of water in this sequence. And here you could think about, like, the scene at the end of Captain America when he wakes up in the modern-day New York, or when King Kong gets loose on the streets of New York, or when Tom Hanks gets back to civilization in Castaway, this sense of just being overwhelmed by the action and activity and life that's surrounding you in a big city. I mentioned with Gamma the idea of meeting these characters throughout the game who are basically distorted reflections of Horatio. One of the reasons for doing that is that it lets the player sort of critically examine the hero in a way that you're less inclined to if you're just looking at the hero in isolation. You tend to identify with the protagonist and are less likely to see flaws in him unless those flaws are also reflected in characters who in some way are an obstacle to his advancement. So with Gamma, it was this exaggeration of Horatio's desire for independence. Leopold, on the other hand, though similarly sort of crazily independent, is mostly a reflection of Horatio's collection of junk, his desire to fix and tinker with things. Basically, Leopold is meant to show that while Horatio was able to thrive in the dunes, living off his own power source, if he had had to live in a city like Metropole, he really wouldn't have come out so well. He was basically fortunate in the circumstances that he started with, though of course he also has worked incredibly hard to maintain them.
Hey, Tara, over here.